Well, hello, friends. We are back once again. If you recognize this ragtag group, then you may have seen or heard the first rendition of our very first, I don't want to say inaugural, that's a heavy commitment, but it's our very first, maybe our last, I don't know, comic book draft, SPC Comics Draft. Last time I had my partner here, Remzo, of course, as well as supreme patrons, Eric and Jeffrey on, and we drafted a series of creators, artists, characters, and whatnot. And now we're going to present the companies, the universes that we have built around those very creators and characters. With that set up, Remzo, before I even go further, would you like to tell us who our show is brought to us by today?
Our show today is brought to you by Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who only I'm not. I was really hoping you'd give me like 2 seconds. Our show today is brought to you by...
You're the promo guy. You get no time off.
I'm going to be drinking. I shit you not. I'm actually looking at my wife across the room.
I just realized as we're about to promote our fantastic Fox and Sons coffee, it's somewhat ironic that I'm on camera for those watching on YouTube and drinking a sugar-free, mind you, a Red Bull. Now, typically I would drink coffee, but let's just say it's a lot later in the day and night. I've already had my Fox and Sons. Something else is required at this moment. Anyway.
Yeah, Fox and Sons, go ahead and use our promo code, Second Print Pod. I'll get you 15% off your order of $25 or more. Go ahead and support Jeffrey. I'm sorry. Go ahead and support.
Well, support Jeffrey too. Support everyone.
I mean, support
support Jeffrey drinking Fox and Sons coffee.
Stephen Fox, go ahead and support. If you don't buy his coffee, Stephen can't feed his children.
The former promo guy, Eric. You recently got some Fox and Sons. Is that correct, Eric? Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I did, and I used the promo code, and I must say the coffee is as good as you guys say it is.
And it's legit. The promo code worked, right? It wasn't.
It sure did.
Here, all right.
No fraud.
So I know a lot of people are thinking, yeah, I'm sure that's a real promo code. I'm sure it's really good coffee. It's legit. I think Remzo and I both agree. We don't like to promote stuff that we don't actually know if it's good or know what it is. This is a case where we have both had this coffee. We both drink this coffee regularly, so I have no issue telling you guys about it. And Stephen Fox, a great friend of the show, a great supporter of the show. So check out foxandsons.com. Use discount code SecondPrintPod for, what is it, 15% off?
15% off. Order coffee or his children will starve.
Use discount code RFK so that Remzo gets a portion of the funds to go to fix his throat cancer.
But I also recently purchased some Fox and Sons coffee using your promo code.
Which ones did you get?
I got the Brazilian honey blend and the Tanzanian tea berry.
Those are two of my all-time favorites.
Well, look at this.
I don't know how we ordered the same exact thing.
Because you guys have similar tastes.
I think I'm biased because usually when I read the ads, I'm always saying the ones that I'm drinking at the moment. It's always the Brazilian honey prep or the Tanzania pea berry. I mean, those are probably all his coffee is good. But if you want something, and my thing is always when I tell people about Fox and Sons, I'm like, listen, this is coffee you don't have to drink with creamer. Like, it's just so naturally rich with each one. So do yourself a favor, folks. Save children. Drink coffee. Change the world.
That being said, now, speaking of changing worlds, we're not just changing worlds here. We're creating worlds. We're creating universes, multiverses, all sorts of things here. So we're not going to go recap our entire drafts. We already did a 2-hour show, and I think 30 minutes of that show was a recap anyway. So if you want to know how we got here, if you want to know how we came to acquire these players, these characters and whatnot, just go listen to the SPC Comics Draft. Tick back in your podcast feed, check back on the YouTube, wherever it is you're checking this out. It's really easy to find. Maybe I'll even help you out in the show notes and link to it if I'm not too lazy. We'll see about that. But today we're going to reveal. Now we do have some rules here, some very minor rules here. Like I said, we drafted writers, artists, and characters. So we have a few rules in laying out this universe. Now, we're all going to present 12 monthly books. This is kind of the core monthly lineup that we're going to be launching this company with. We're also going to be presenting 4 miniseries as well as 1 crossover event. Within that, I'm doing this without notes. So if I miss something, let me know. But I think I know this by heart. Every character must be used once, but even if that's just as a supporting character in some book. You just basically have to use everybody you draft in some way, shape, or form. For each title you have, you can just give a brief description of what you're thinking about the book. As we know, Remzo already has some descriptions up because he sent us his whole list ahead of time. So that's why we're going to start with him. But for the rest of us, we're going to be surprised as we have these unveiled to us. As far as using artists and writers, I think we all generally agreed twice. They can be used twice each. Is that what we said? Was that the final thing? But if they do both,
The writers can be used. Every writer and artist must be used at least once. No artist can be used more than twice. No writer can be used more than 3 times.
okay. Except with the exception of the crossovers and miniseries, correct? Do we agree on that? Because that's like a separate thing. We're talking about real life, the monthly books. Okay, cool.
That's correct. Yeah.
And I think that's pretty much it. I guess someone, or we could all keep track of ourselves, or someone who really wants to, I don't want to do it, is the point. I guess someone should keep us all honest to make sure no one is overusing their, like, no one's using a writer 5 times or something like that. But maybe we can.
I even included the number. I even added the number beside their names. Y'all gave me so. I want to take the mic for a moment. Y'all gave me so much shit for casting Deacon Frost. And I got confused.
Casting? Was there an audition? What was this?
I mean, for choosing him.
Try out?
And for everything else. So much shit. Yeah, I was the most organized mofo on this entire thing. So when people start hearing all the shit that will come, because it will come, because the forces are against me, folks. I'm the underdog in this situation. Y'all got to back me up. I'm just saying.
All right, underdog. That being the case, why don't we start with you? Because we already have your whole list in front of us. So why don't you start by just going through your entire lineup, and we will comment when necessary, which I imagine is going to be often.
So, as many of you know, and I'm going to try and keep this as concise as possible, so I'm not meandering all over the place. I'm a 3 times published author. I'm a digital marketer by trade. So telling stories, getting story brands set up, having an identity is important. And I was the first person, remember, first in your hearts, first in the show. I was the first person to go ahead and unveil the name of my company last time, which you can
completely out of turn. Yes, you did do that.
Well, I went ahead and did that, and I called it Revolving Door Comics. And I did that specifically because with a revolving door,
because the fans will be revolving in and out quickly,
in and out. But, it also says something to the creative mind behind the stories and how I kind of crafted everything. Because 2 people can be in a revolving door, but they're completely separated. They're in the same space, but there's only a thin layer of glass moving. And as they go around and round and round, sometimes you get trapped in those doors, you get disoriented, you walk through the wrong end, and then you're like, damn, I have to go through the revolving door again. That's the idea. I was
supposed to be really high to hear that.
Well, I wanted to go ahead and take the whole idea of a multiverse, and I wanted to do something different. So what I did was I went ahead and did what they did at Image Comics. They did this with Vertigo and with some of the other indie publishers that have controlled, insular universes. I went ahead and created a world Bible. And what that basically is that sets the conditions and terms for how your comic book universe operates. Valiant Comics is the world outside your window. So they try to remain more grounded. For stuff like Rocket and I don't want to call them the Black Comic Book Company, but the guys that brought you Static Shock and everything, when they went ahead and came out with their stuff, Milestone, they went ahead
Black
and
Comic Book Company.
Yeah, there's no other way around it. They're all black.
What do you call it? BET, the black TV station?
Yeah, so the BET of comics, they went ahead. Dwayne Duffy, who started that and kind of corralled everything, he really made the idea of having universe Bibles popular.
Didn't you get blocked by one of the writers at Milestone?
One of the DC ones, because DC got bought by them, and they basically brought in like this Marxist.
Other way around, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure DC bought Milestone.
Yeah, DC bought Milestone, and they hired some Marxist bald lesbian to go ahead. And I'm not insulting her; I'm just describing her because she's a bald Marxist lesbian.
All checks out.
Yeah, and she went ahead. I was going to buy her book. I was so excited. I went on Twitter and I found her Twitter and I was like, I cannot wait for Static Shock because I grew up with the cartoon.
I want to tweet to you about this.
I want to tweet to you. It's like, lady, I think you're smart. I like your book. And she blocked me. And I was like, I've never done anything.
I think lesbians are kind of cool, actually.
I have no problem with, I like women too. We have that in common. I have hair, you don't. We can get along with that. I was going to give her my money. Eric is just like, I'm going to still get fired tomorrow. How
did this get clearance?
Yeah. I just wanted to give her my money and she gave me hate. Because she's a racist. I'll say that. So anyway,
against Puerto Ricans.
Yeah. So anyway, here's my world Bible. This is how I set everything up. 2 worlds exist parallel to one another. One where the vampire Deacon Frost has killed the boy Teth Adam, and one where he didn't. Frost used the magic of the wizard Shazam to take over one planet, but craves the counter Earth, Earth 2.
Did you
Only
draft
Victor.
the wizard Shazam?
Yes, the wizard
Okay.
Shazam.
All right, you drafted him?
Huh?
Did you draft the wizard Shazam?
Don't worry about that. God, I'm like 2 words in.
I'm just giving you shit. Go on.
Only Victor Von Doom, Sorcerer Supreme, can lead his team to this outcome of stopping Frost from completely taking over another planet. Meanwhile, on Earth 2, Teth Adam has become a ruthless killer and despot. The heroes of this Earth know there is no way to turn back the clock or salvage their world, but they can save their counter Earth, which they are calling Earth X, from suffering the same fate. Dr. Stephen Strange, master of the mystic arts, and unworthy sorcerer supreme in exile can make things right. So what I've established is you're going to have 2 worlds, and I've split up the 12 titles, 6 in Earth 2, 6 in Earth X. And they're parallel stories, but you're going to see is that this multiverse is not going to have like a 1-to-1 copy of each. And they're going to, there's a time difference. One is more 80s blend. The other one is contemporary modern times. So who is in each other's planet, how time moves, why is Teth Adam an adult in one planet and a child in the other? How can they move amongst each other? This isn't a multiverse where it's going to be clean cut, and that's going to cause confusion, especially when both Earths eventually collide.
So is Deacon Frost a good guy?
Deacon Frost is the bad guy. So,
but in the second on Earth 2, Teth Adams a ruthless despot.
They both are. I went ahead and said that they're both dictators.
Okay.
But in one Earth, Teth Adam didn't get a chance to be that because Frost killed him and took his powers. And by to answer your question about the wizard Shazam, by the drafting of Teth Adam, he has to have his powers somehow. So I'm not drafting him necessarily, but that's
drafting the origin
move.
Story. All right, fair enough.
I did that. So I have my first 6 books, which are all based in Earth X. Earth X takes place more in like the 80s, whereas Earth 2 takes place now. So title 1 is called Victor Von Doom, Sorcerer Supreme. The main character is Dr. Doom, and his regular supporting cast are Ghost Rider, Danny Ketch, and Gambit. My writer, Jeff Loeb. My artist, Dale Eaglesham. The synopsis is that Victor Von Doom, who is yet to be disfigured, who is not a villain in this situation, is on a mission to avenge the death of his master, Stephen Strange, who was killed by Frost, and to save the world from the rule of Deacon Frost by any means necessary. So you begin to see that, in this world, he is a Sorcerer Supreme. He is a hero. He's not yet disfigured, and he's already kind of ruthless. He will kill people. He's an anti-hero. He just, he's not the stereotypical Doom yet. And I did this intentionally because if I'm putting all these characters from different universes and from different times and stuff like that, I wanted to go ahead and completely change who they are as characters. So that way that expectation isn't just assumed. Title 2 is called Enemies of the State. This is an ensemble book. The main character is John Constantine. The supporting cast regularly there is Merlin, the Dark Archer, and Mystique. This is written by Jeff Loeb, and again, the art done by Dale Eaglesham. These mercenaries travel the ruins of North America, searching for refuge and fortune, and will work for whoever the highest bidder is. So this is kind of like Red Hood and the Outlaws that was done during DC's New 52. This is a little bit of Suicide Squad, Thunderbolts, but with more of a mystical element to it. My third title is Fisk. You can assume who's in it. Yeah.
It's not about the last one. It's about the one before. What's the maybe? Did you say this? What's the role of Gambit in that title?
They're just like his lackeys, his sidekicks.
Gambit's just a lackey.
Yeah, they're just lackeys.
It's his boy.
Yeah. I didn't really think he was main title contender. I just want him there to be there.
Fair enough.
And if you really want to know, I kill him pretty early on. Gambit, no.
Spoiler alert. Why am I buying this book now? I already know the big damn.
Don't need to buy it.
I was buying it for Gambit, and now,
Well, you'll love title 3.
Okay.
I called it Fisk. The main character in this is Kingpin, and Deacon Frost is a supporting character.
He's the dictator of the universe, but he's a supporting character.
This is a comic of villains. Like, here's the thing. Like, I went really hard on the villains. I want you to see the villains rise to power. I want you to see how the villains get along with each other. So Kingpin is basically like Jabba the Hutt in this case. He's basically allowed to operate because he's useful to Deacon Frost, and Frost has no, Frost doesn't like to do everything. You're going to see later that he's not like, he allows places to still have their functioning governments. He's just goes around telling people what to do. He's not like a total genocidal maniac like Black Adam is in the other universe. So this is written by Al
is
Ewing.
the Frostverse, as you may call it, the better place? It's not as bad. He's like a more benevolent.
That's subjective. That's subjective. I think how you described it is a good way of doing it. Like, you still have some functioning government in some places, but they all know that if Frost shows up, they do what he fucking says. So I wanted this to really be like as gritty as possible. I thought that having Al Ewing write and Tim Sale do the art would be perfect. And the synopsis is Wilson Fisk. I had a typo in the document. Wilson Fisk rose from hired gun to slumlord. Watch the rise of the biggest criminal enterprise Earth X has as Fisk runs his empire in the shadows of the rule of Deacon Frost. So this is really much a Breaking Bad type of thing. This is The Sopranos. This is really like the criminal element of this Earth. Title 4 is called Weapon Hulk. The main character is Red Hulk, and the supporting cast for this run is the cast of Enemies of the State, Dark Archer, John Constantine, and Mystique. The writer is Matt Kent, artist Tim Sale again. The synopsis is they're created to hunt down rogue metahumans and mutants. Thunderbolt Ross undergoes a demonic spell cast by Deacon Frost in order to become Weapon Hulk, with his first target, the enemies of the state. So this is a Wile E. Coyote thing. Like, will he get them? Won't he get them? I like to have titles where it's like you get to see both perspectives of the same story. You're going to see that play later. So you might have some overlap between Weapon Hulk and the enemies of the state story. They won't necessarily go like line by line, issue by issue, but there's going to be a lot of self-referencing, and I'm trying to build a shared universe here. So title 5 is called Agents of Hate. The main character is Wanda Maximoff, Scarlet Witch, with the supporting cast of Homelander and Berserker. Written again by Al Ewing, artist Rob Liefeld. The synopsis is that the state-sponsored enforcers of Deacon Frost, they're the state-sponsored enforcers, and Scarlet Witch has begun to wonder whether or not this is the type of life she wants to live after being in a battle with Victor Von Doom and deciding to let him live and escape. So this is a villain book in which Wanda Maximoff is having a crisis of character, and she doesn't know whether or not she wants to continue to serve Frost, but she knows that she's surrounded by all these people that can very easily kill her. So it's a choice story, and I think I haven't decided whether or not she's going to ultimately choose to be evil or not. But I thought that was a good dynamic for a title, Agents of Hate. So title 6, the last of the Earth X Planet books, is Curse of the Werewolf. I was going really dark with everything. I was going really serious and dramatic. So I wanted to have
I'm trying to figure out who I'm supposed to root for in this. Everybody's either a villain or thinking about considering being a villain.
Yeah, well, this is very much like Age of Apocalypse, in which everything is kind of like turned on its head, or Age of X or something like that. I always like those books because it makes heroes bad guys and it makes bad guys heroes. Okay. So I like that dynamic because you don't know. And I'm hoping that with some of that symmetry, in which you're going to see some books like Enemies of the State and Weapon Hulk kind of mirror each other, that you're really going to wonder, like, who am I rooting for? But Curse of the Werewolf is with Werewolf by Night. Supporting cast is Cheetah, written by Matt Fraction, Jeff Loeb. I think Matt Fraction is really good at writing duo books. Sex Criminals was absolutely hilarious. So this takes a lot of inspiration from Sex Criminals, the movie Mr. and Mrs. Smith. It's not as serious. I have this one as more of a comedy, but the synopsis is you're going to learn more about the regular life of people who aren't in this like power struggle on Earth X. And, the Werewolf by Night and Cheetah, they live normal lives, but they have powers, but they don't want people to know about it. So you get to understand how they see themselves in this world where it's like, if you don't have power, you're going to be, oppressed and bullied. And, Werewolf by Night thinks that he wants to go ahead and, join the enemies of the state and others, while his wife just wants to try and live as normally as possible. So now I'm on to the last 6 regular titles. These take place in Earth 2.
Before we move into these, I want to halfway through. This is a test. This is a quiz. See who's been paying attention. We're about halfway through your main books. I want to go around. I want everybody to name what book they are most likely to pick up off the shelves if they see it. Eric.
Victor Von Doom, Sorcerer Supreme.
All right. What did you see about that?
Doom is Doom's the lead. He's the Sorcerer Supreme. I think that says it all.
All right, Jeffrey, what about you?
Yeah, Victor Von Doom.
See, I was gonna say the same thing, but now I feel like I don't want to just be a copycat. Similar reasons, all about Doom, all about that hot Doom action.
Well, don't forget Gambit dies.
Gambit does die. That's true. Spoiler alert. I mean, if I'm going to answer honestly, yeah, that's the book I would pick up, especially because I already love Doom 2099. So I love this character. I love weird takes on this character, and I think that him as a Sorcerer Supreme, as sort of like, because in 2099 it's similar in the sense that he's in this weird different kind of world, but he's kind of the same character, but it's flipped on the head because he sort of does become the hero to fight the greater villain. So I think it's an interesting take. All right,
that was a little bit of my inspiration, as well as infamous Iron Man. I think that Doom has kind of had this reputational change where people like to see him not as like, the traditional supervillain, but as somebody who is like, like he sees himself as a hero. That was that was his intention from day one. Like Doom actually thinks he's a hero.
Yeah. He is the champion of Latveria, and he's always been very legitimate about that. Now he's shown some funny ways to show his affection and whatnot to certain women at times, but haven't we all? So fair enough. All right, moving on.
I think people are tired of him being done dirty in movies too. So
yeah,
well,
got to root for him a little bit.
Let's see what happens there. Stay tuned.
So the Earth 2 books, these take place on the other Earth.
So this is where Teth Adam did become the dictator. Become dictator.
Yeah. So some parallels I want to go ahead and bring up. In the other world, Deacon Frost killed a child, Teth Adam. In this world, Deacon Frost didn't even exist. And here's the other.
A world without Deacon? Say it ain't so.
Yeah, world without Deacon Frost. So Teth Adam was able to grow up into Black Adam. The other thing is that in Earth X, Stephen Strange was Doctor Doom's mentor, and he dies. Whereas here, there is no Doctor Doom, and Stephen Strange is still. He was the master, he was the Sorcerer Supreme, but he lost his title at some point. I've always liked an unworthy Doctor Strange. I always think that always puts him in some good stories. Brian Michael Bendis used to do really well at that with New Avengers. So the first title is The Reign of Black Adam. Obviously, main character, Black Adam. The supporting cast is Zatanna and Blackheart. Writer, Matt Kent. Artist, Javier Saltares. The synopsis is to save the soul of his resurrected wife, Zatanna. So I went ahead and swapped Isis or Osiris for Zatanna in the situation, because his wife dies and her soul, it comes back in the spirit of the street magician, Zatanna. Black Adam kidnaps her because her soul is there. He had claim to her soul. So Black Adam, who is still a bad guy, has to go into hell and fight another bad guy for the soul of his wife, Blackheart. So this is just a bad on bad. What does it mean to love somebody when you're like the Saddam Hussein of the comic book universe? I mean, I think you're going to see a lot of blood and guts with this one. And Matt Kent knows how to write really complex people like that. I think that would be great. Javier Saltares would do great at any DC book. I'm surprised he hasn't done that before. Title 8, like I said, with the Werewolf and Cheetah for the Curse of the Werewolf, I need some humor and stuff. So I went ahead and was like, I want a buddy comedy. Because this is a world where you still have some semblance of like this authoritarianism. So you got to have some enforcers. Why not make them cops? The main character is Savage Dragon. The supporting cast is Bloodshot and Sin Eater. Written by Matt Kent, art by Matt Battaglia, because we've all seen Matt do Savage Dragon, Bloodshot, and Sin Eater. So that was my motivation. It's like, I know he can draw them, and they look badass. So there's a buddy cop comedy based on the streets of New York, because Teth Adam blew up New York and rebuilt on top of it. And they're hunting a serial killer called the Sin Eater. So how I was saying earlier with like Enemies of the State and Weapon Hulk, that you're going to see like parallels of the same story sometimes, you're going to get that with the Irredeemable Dragon and Bloodshot, as well as Portrait of Sin Eater. One of the most messed up movies, but one of my favorite indie movies, is called Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. And it's just like disturbing. It's like that Jeffrey Dahmer TV show. It's like, I want somebody without powers, really, who's just like bad for bad's sake.
So these two series run like parallel to each other?
Yes.
Do you need to follow both?
You don't have to, but it's rewarding if you do.
Okay.
Brian Michael Bendis used to do that with New Avengers and Mighty Avengers, back when he actually used to care about quality. And I thought, if we could do that for here, where it's like you're rooting for Sin Eater in one, or you're rooting for the cops in the other, it's like, oh, who, like,
Hickman kind of did that in his Avengers run as well.
Yeah, he kind of did that too. So it's kind of like
you
that.
could follow just one, but if you had the complete picture, if you were following.
Exactly. And that's kind of the idea of this. So main character, everything is switched now, is Sin Eater. And the supporting is Bloodshot and Savage Dragon, obviously. Writer, Chip Zdarsky. Art, Matt Battaglia. The synopsis is, like I mentioned, it's kind of like that Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. So this is going to be the most grounded series, and it's going to basically show what's it like growing up in Earth 2. And, how can this person without powers be like this vicious serial killer who's able to outrun Dragon and Bloodshot, guys who should typically catch much harder villains and bad guys and stuff like that. Title 10 is The Mirror of Agatha Harkness. Hot Agatha, not old lady Agatha like we used to have. Supporting cast.
Old lady Agatha's the real Agatha.
Yeah, but some retcons are gone. Okay, some retcons actually do work. So hot Agatha.
At least it's not a woke Agatha. It is just a hotter, younger, same person.
Exactly. Yeah. Same evil, just hotter. Supporting cast is Black Adam.
Imagine if they did black lesbian Agatha.
That would be funny. So this is kind of like the Fisk book, in which the big bad guy is seen in a supporting role in this one for somebody who's also bad. Written by Ed Brubaker, art by Javier Saltares. Harkness is attempting to travel back in time to save her lover Stephen Strange. So I have them as an item in this, but she ends up creating a multiverse of problems. This is your classic. I went back in time and stepped on a butterfly.
Agatha Harkness and the multiverse of problems. That would have been a great.
Yeah. That would probably have been better than what they came out with. But so basically this is more self-contained. This is the most self-contained book. And at the end of it, you see Black Adam is like, man, somebody's fucking things up. And he has to, go fight Agatha at the end. Title 12 is something a little bit different. What I like about Power Girl is that she's one of the few characters from the pre-crisis era that remembers absolutely
this is your
everything.
11th.
Yeah, this is 11th. Sorry. I like the idea of of Karen or Kara Zor-El having an idea of what the Earth she came from used to be. So I was like, what if something happened in the other Earth and she winds up in Earth X? So finally we have a scope of somebody from the other Earth really calling out the differences and trying to figure out what's going on and how to get back home. So this is a Planet of the Apes. This is a Robinson Crusoe. This is Power Girl trying to figure out like what's the deal? How did I end up here and how can I get home? And this has Ed Brubaker for writing, but I love Power Girl written by Rob Liefeld, not gonna lie. So I went ahead and brought him for art like that. Huh?
You mean drawn by Rob Liefeld?
Yeah, drawn by Rob Liefeld. Written by Ed Brubaker. And then title 12, the last of my ongoing series, is called Soldier No More. This is Soldier Boy, who's kind of like the main assassin for Black Adam, and his supporting cast is Dead Man. So this is written by Larry Hama, art by Brian Hitch. The idea is that Soldier Boy is Frost's personal assassin, but he for once is being hunted by the ghost of an old friend and his former partner in killing people, Dead Man. Why is he doing this? You'll have to wait and see. So this is where the hunter becomes the hunted type of deal.
Continuity error.
What?
Oh, what is it? What did you catch?
Title 12, Soldier No More, part of Earth 2. Deacon Frost does not exist. Therefore, Soldier Boy cannot be Frost's personal assassin.
I wrote
continuity error. Disqualified.
Calm down. So it's Black Adam. It's Black Adam on that. So, that's
so
a hunter's
he's Adam's
book.
personal. I'm going to change it for you so it's valid.
Adam's
really helping Remzo through all this. It's really nice.
Like I said, people, the forces are against me. So,
right, any more books in there you guys want to pick up while we're shopping?
One note. I thought Dead Man was a circus acrobat.
He was.
Yeah, he was.
And then he dies, and he's basically kind of like his thing is he can go into the bodies of other people and he solves mysteries. So the idea is, what does the guy who can kill everybody do when he can't kill somebody who's already dead?
But you said he was his old partner in killing.
Yeah, so in this universe, they were like a special forces Delta team.
So he wasn't a circus acrobat.
He wasn't a circus acrobat.
All right,
so or maybe he was, and he just decided to go and join the army or something.
He's like, you know what? I'm going to use these circus skills to kill people.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll buy that.
I'm digging. Obviously, you're going to tug on me with the dragon and Bloodshot. I mean, those are two of my favorite characters. Put them together with the Mats. I mean, I'm buying that one for sure. And then look, there's no way the teenage boy in me won't let me not see Rob Liefeld draw Kara. So I'm probably picking those two up. All right, you got a couple miniseries and then a crossover. Let's bring this puppy home.
Yeah, so for these miniseries, I usually like miniseries that are 4 issues or under. So one, you got to have a classic alien invasion story. So one is called Mark of Evolution. It has all of Earth X fighting against the invading force of the High Evolutionary. He thinks that Earth is weakened. They have a dictator. They're going to go ahead and all team up to fight the High Evolutionary. Written by Robert Kirkman, art by Dennis Hallam. Supporting is the entirety of Earth X. And the idea is this is a classic alien invasion story in which everyone must unite with Frost and against the High Evolutionary. So this idea of the enemy of my enemy is my friend, team up with Stalin to fight Hitler type of thing. The next one is Frost Must Die. I just wanted a chase him, go get him, see how far you can take this bad guy and see whether you can kill him.
I love how much of this is Deacon Frost based. I love that you just branded the whole thing around this character.
Yeah, well,
I respect it.
Let me state this. One of the reasons why I wanted somebody who was kind of a vanilla character was because people don't have expectations. Jeffrey,
you achieved that.
Yeah, Jeffrey was right in which he's like, well, Deadman was an acrobat. He's like, yeah, but some of the things are skewed. And while you're going to get that with some of these characters and titles, you don't really have that with Deacon Frost. So my thing is he's like my, my carte blanche.
There are very few expectations.
Yeah. So, and supporting cast. So the main character is Steppenwolf. You're seeing this through the eyes of Steppenwolf. The supporting cast are Doctor Doom, Etrigan the Demon, and others in Earth X. You're going to see them in panels, some more supporting than others. Written by Robert Kirkman, art by Steve Epting. Doom summons 2 demons to go kill Frost at all costs. This is basically the story of John Wick 3. In which it's just people just hunting him down the entire time. You're going to see if they can actually take down Frost, who has the power of Black Adam. So he's a vampire and that. So just a reminder. The third one is really the biggest of the miniseries. This is called Earth X. And I wanted this to be inspired.
Well, at least that's what you put.
Yeah, Earth 3. 1 second.
I know I'm choking on it too. No, I'm just kidding.
So Earth 3. The main character is Omak. This is a Secret Wars inspired story. And this has the entire cast of Earth 2 and Earth X. Writer Robert Kirkman, art by Steve Epting. I like to pair my guys. I think there's a lot of symmetry when you can pair writers and artists across multiple titles, which is why you see that.
It's like pairing a steak and a red wine.
Exactly. So the idea is the mysterious and unbeatable being Omak summons every character that we've introduced onto Earth 3. This empty place with nobody, and they must defeat him if they want to return home. This is a Beyonder type of story in which he's I just want to see if anyone can beat me because he's bored type of deal. And then you've got the fall of Stephen Strange. The main character is Doctor Strange. The supporting cast is Doomsday, others in their Earth, as well as Black Adam. And the idea is this is going to be one of the first prequel stories introduced. This is the only prequel story. The writer is Ed Brubaker. The art is by Dennis Hallam. The idea behind this is we learn finally why did Doctor Strange on this Earth become unworthy of being the Sorcerer Supreme. And the reason why is because he summoned Doomsday from another Earth. The wink is that he pulled him from the DC universe and he wanted him to fight Black Adam. But the thing is that didn't work out. Instead of going and fighting Adam, Doomsday just goes around killing people, and everyone is like, Steven, you screwed up, man. So in order to basically defeat this monster that Strange brought in order to stop all the killing, is they've got to get Black Adam to work with them to do it. So this idea that Strange made things worse is ultimately, this is a story of how he becomes unworthy. And if there is an order to any of these, Fall of Stephen Strange, Frost Must Die, and Mark of Evolution all come before Earth 3. Earth 3 leads directly into my major crossover event, the industry showstopper Finality. This is the Avengers Infinity War endgame of the whole thing, in which you see everything mainly through the eyes of Deacon Frost, kind of like how you saw it through the eyes of Thanos and Secret Wars. This has every character, and it's written by Al Ewing, art by Brian Hitch. And the idea is after they defeated Omak had his own Infinity Gauntlet, and Frost is like, I can go ahead and remake the world in my image by merging Earth 2 and Earth X after he's finally seen all these other characters and stuff like that, these other worlds. So at the end of it, you can assume that Frost gets beaten, but here's the thing. you've grown to like and understand the motivations of Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom earlier in the story. You know, the big overarching thing is that Strange, through all these stories, becomes more worthy, and Doctor Doom becomes less worthy. And in the Mark of Evolution story, Doom gets disfigured and has to wear a mask. So now it's like, you know, the worthy has become the unworthy has become worthy, and you have to decide, like, you know, only one Earth will live at the end of this. There is no combining. There is no, you know, post Jonathan Hickman Secret War thing. I want people to understand at the end of this, Strange and Doom must fight to see which Earth lives and which Earth dies, or they will all perish together.
I have a question. Why is it Earth 2 and Earth X and not like, was there ever Earth 1?
Because who's ever going to say that their Earth is the second Earth?
Well, someone's being called second Earth.
Because I was thinking, like, will they both call each other Earth 2? But what will the readers refer to them as? So I was like, I'm just going to call one.
I'm worried about it. Might be a little confusing.
They each think that they're Earth 1. So I was like, I'm going to have one Earth referred to as
like
Earth
the twins in Invincible. They each think they're the original.
Exactly. It's kind of that. So yeah, that's it. That's everybody.
All right. Who wants to give some more general thoughts before we move on to the next universe?
So I thought this was very creative.
Considering the, you know, I don't want to call them handicaps. I mean, it's your draft, but considering what felt like a thin roster going in some ways, let's put it that way. I gotta say, there's a lot of interesting stuff in here for having I think what you did strategize once you made the Frost leap, we might call it, that you went with sort of darker, more macabre characters and whatnot, and sort of catered a universe around that idea. So I think it's pretty interesting. My concern as a fan, if I was learning about this universe and thinking about, should I dive into this, I would be a little hesitant by there's already two universes thing. I think that would give me a little bit of pause. I might be a little bit confused. Is this title and that? Are you going to brand them differently? Are you going to have a marker on them? Like this is
so it's going to be like how Marvel used to do things with the Ultimate Comics. One will be Earth 2. The other will be Earth X. And up until
I feel like fans are going to want Earth X because the branding sounds cool.
Yeah, and then because they're completionists and they're addicted to this, they're going to go ahead and buy all the Earth 2 stuff.
It's going to be so fucking good. You're going to be like, you want more? You got to come to Earth 2.
I don't know, man. There's no Deacon Frost in Earth 2. Why would I want to ever buy that? That is a good point.
That's why it's Earth 2.
I appeal to the Frost and the non-Frost audiences.
All right. Well, one thing I learned is that this is going to be a long podcast. So why don't we just move on to who wants to go next? Do you guys feel like listening some more? Do one of you want to step out?
Which of the limited series sound jumped out? I just want to know.
I like the strange one for sure.
Yeah.
Just one question. OMAC?
That's
OMAC? The fictional race. The fictional race of cyborgs.
Yeah. They've transcended.
That's a Beyonder level threat.
In this universe, it is.
In the world where Dead Man was never in the circus, it is.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
What can I say to that?
That was around the point where I was like, "Fuck, I'm running out of people." Because I thought about that was probably, in my opinion, the Earth 3 one was my weakest. But I'm like, I thought that the Beyonder and Earth 3. I thought that the Beyonder and Secret Wars was stupid. And I'm like, I might as well just have fun with it. So I just was kind of like, OMAC's my leftover. I can make him as vague and ambiguous as possible. I can make this work.
All right. Who wants to go next? Or do you want me to go?
I can go next.
All right, Eric.
I have no problem.
Let's hear it.
So, name of my comic book company is ES Comics. ES stands for Electric Sheep. It is named after one of my favorite sci-fi books, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? So
very good.
The theme of that will come through in some of these books, I hope. So first title, kicking it right off with my marquee character. Name of the book is Web of Spider-Man. This is my favorite version of the Spider-Man books. It had a little bit of a darker, grittier feel. Obviously, the main of this is Spider-Man. The villains, going to be a cast of characters: Venom, Hobgoblin, Bullseye, and then the two that I took after draft, Russ and Talia al Ghul, who are going to play a major part in my universe. This is going to be written by Donny Cates and Brian Stegman. Overview is this is going to be a little bit of a different take on Spider-Man. Following the adventures of Peter Parker as he takes up the
Who are
mantle.
your creators again?
Donnie Cates and Ryan Stegman.
Okay, got it.
So they wrote the Venom books, and I thought they were very well done with that pair. So, quick overview. Follow the adventures of Peter Parker as he takes up the mantle of Spider-Man, following the mysterious stabbing death of his parents.
Who killed his parents in this universe? Do we gotta wait for that?
We're gonna find out. You just have to wait until I get to my minis.
Right, fair enough.
But you are gonna find out.
All right.
All right.
What else we got?
Next title is a team up. This is called Lantern Gods. This is a main story of Green Lantern and Thor.
Oh.
Villains are going to be Galactus,
Remind me
Annihilus.
which Green Lantern you had?
This is Hal Jordan.
Okay.
This is the one that you did not like. You did not like my pick.
Okay.
So villains are Galactus, Annihilus, and Mephisto. This is going to be written by Green Lantern pair, Ron Mars and Daryl Banks, who teamed up before on Emerald Twilight. You were asking before who those people were, Mark. So that's who they are.
I was?
You did. Yeah, you're like, I have no idea who Daryl Banks is.
I know who Ron Mars is, but yeah, I didn't know Daryl Banks.
So here's the overview. This is the team up you didn't know you needed. After a cosmic explosion, Hal Jordan wakes up in a new world, slowly realizing he has been transported to a new universe and rescued by Thor Odinson. So we're going to follow their adventures through the cosmos as they try to get Hal home.
It's like a cosmic lethal weapon.
Exactly right.
All right, I'm in. But no black guy.
I mean, it's a big universe,
that
right?
escalated quickly.
Which one's Danny Glover? That's all.
It's a big universe.
All right.
It's a big universe. Jeez.
All right.
Coming down on my ESG score already. Let's bring that puppy up with the next book.
All right.
We've got Spawn Dreamscapes.
Ooh, interesting.
So main character is Spawn. Secondary lead is Dream of the Endless. Villains in this book, obviously Violator, Mephisto, Scarecrow, and Saint of Killers, who's from Preacher. Writer is going to be Scott Snyder. The artist is Greg Capullo. And this is going to lead into a mini that I'm going to cover a little bit later, but since we're going through mains first and then minis later, we're just going to go with this. Following the collapse of the boundary between the awake and sleep realms, Dream taps Spawn to help track down the supernatural threats that have been corrupted by the powers of hell.
Very interesting premise.
There we go.
I like this combo. All right.
All right. Title 4. Going on to Preacher. Main is obviously Jesse Custer, and the secondary is going to be Dream. So you're going to see Dream in my
Dreamverse.
combination here. This is Dreamverse.
Oh yeah, there you go. Like
Electric Sheep. So villains, Saint of Killers, and then Ra's and Talia al Ghul. The writer on this book is going to be Neil Gaiman, and artist is Bill Sienkiewicz.
Interesting combination.
This is kind of like a dream.
That is an interesting
This is kind of like a dream pairing for me. I always wanted this. I think that'd be fantastic. So overview of this book is Jesse Custer begins his journey again, searching for the one true God, while avoiding old enemies, Saint of Killers, and new ones, trying to win his favor in the Al Ghuls.
All right.
All right. Next up is Title's Weapon X. We can guess who the lead is here. This is going to be Wolverine. Villains are going to be Venom, Bullseye, Ra's and Talia al Ghul, and Mephisto.
These Al Ghuls are everywhere.
They are everywhere. They're playing a major part in my street level hero universe. Okay. The writer of this book is Chris Claremont, and the artist is Joe Quesada, who does a pretty mean Wolverine.
When's the last time Joe Quesada drew something?
Like I said during the draft, it doesn't matter.
I know I'm not questioning your integrity. I'm just having a casual conversation here.
I think it was amazing
because he was one of my favorite artists in the early '90s. I loved him. That's why I jumped over to Valiant, because of him being on Ninjak.
Yeah, it was. Rems was right. It was ASM. He did a couple covers back in like 2022, so last year. I saw a couple covers from him.
He hasn't been on a regular book in probably.
It's been a couple of years, I think.
So he did Amazing Spider-Man during the One More Day storyline Back in Black. I think at that point, that's when 2008, 2009.
A long time then.
Yeah, because he was editor in chief, so he was putting himself on.
Hey, dude, I'm the one that has Alan Moore on my team, so I'm not questioning. We agreed if they're alive, they can go to work. Damn it! If they're alive, there's a check big enough, and we got the check. So
exactly right.
In this universe, why bind ourselves financially in a fantasy universe? You know.
Exactly right. It's all make believe, funny money. I'm paying them with the made up Bitcoin.
Just like
who knows?
But anyway.
Yeah. All right. So the overview for this book is Wolverine is a hunted man. Having escaped the Weapon X program, he is on the run to find himself and get answers. We find out about his dark past under the program as he pieces himself together. So all of the villains in this are from his past, and we're just trying to figure out who he is, and he's trying to find that out as well. We can hear all the sound effects, Mark.
I like it.
All right, next book is Xavier's Angels.
I like that. I like how you didn't even call him Charlie's, even though you could have, because he's Charlie.
Clever.
I like
Clever.
it. I like it.
Exactly right. Oh, I could have done that too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, never mind. Now it's Charlie's Angels.
Yeah,
Charles's Angels.
Xavier's Angels. So mains in this are Professor X, obviously, Psylocke, Jean Grey, and Wonder Woman.
This is the teenager's dream here.
Yep.
Take my money.
Villains in this book: Sebastian Shaw, Harley Quinn, Madeline Pryor, and Talia al Ghul.
All right, I like it.
Writer is Chris Claremont. Artist, none other than Jim Lee.
Oof. Good luck with those deadlines, my friend.
You know what?
But you got it. I mean,
the cover price is already $5.99, isn't it?
I'm already in, by the way, for the cover for the spread page that I'm sure will be in there.
That is exactly right. So follow the X-Angels Detective Agency as they investigate mutant supernatural crimes, led by Professor X. Follow Jean, Betsy, and Diana as they circle the world fighting these threats.
All right, we're halfway through. What are you guys picking up? There's a couple. This is tough.
That one. I mean, it was a tie between Lantern Gods because you made two characters who I'm usually not interested in individually. Yeah. Sounds really compelling. I like the dynamic of that. It's kind of like what I was doing in Power Girl, following like this Planet of the Apes thing that, the one person lands in another place and it's going to be their journey of finding out. I like that one, but Xavier's Angels top that. On art alone, on art and characters alone. I'm vain. I don't hide it.
Teenage Never Touched a Woman me would I was 13, calm down, would definitely be all over Xavier's Angels, and I still might be, to be honest, but I'm very intrigued by this Neil Gaiman and Bill Sienkiewicz combination on Preacher. So I think I would have a hard time if I'm only picking one, which I would probably pick more than one out of this in reality because these are pretty interesting. But I would pick, that would be the one I would have to check out just because of that combination alone and that combination on that character. I mean, there's so many interesting clashes there that I'd be too intrigued to leave it be. Jeffrey, what about you?
I like the Lantern Gods, the Neil Gaiman Preacher, of course, and of course Xavier's Angels.
Yeah, we all agree we're picking that up. All right, let's just submit it and move on. All right,
everyone's pull list.
What's the rest? That redefines the word pull list. But going on.
That's the Vampirilla of my universe. Yeah. All right, so the next one is a take on a older group. This is called Midnight Suns.
Okay.
This is going to have main characters Erica Slaughter, Blade, Ghost Rider. This is Johnny Blaze, and Moon Knight. That is my version of Midnight Suns. Villains are going to be Venom, Scarecrow, Mephisto, Violator, and Hobgoblin. This is going to be written by James Tynion, so it's going to be written in that something is killing the children kind of vibe. And the artist is going to be Jim Starlin.
Interesting.
So he has done some.
He's alive. Yeah, we talked. We had this conversation.
He is alive. We didn't. You asked me about most of my other
update. Is he still alive? Because that was 2 months ago.
Still alive, according to Google.
He is still alive, but that was not the rule. It was live at the time of the draft.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, but he has survived once he's been drafted. So.
Yeah, but he back in the day he used to do some Man Thing, and he did
he's
some
74
other,
years old.
books.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, good for him. Good for him. He looked fantastic for
Doesn't look a day over inventing Thanos.
He looks like
back
fucking
away.
Walter White right now. I'm looking at pictures of him.
He does. Yeah.
I like it. Good look for him. All right.
All right. So overview. New team rises to fight the forces of evil. Join the team of Erica, Blade, Johnny, and Mark as they take on the minions of Mephisto in this horror-inspired reboot.
All right. I like it.
Mark Spector.
Got it.
Who is still currently Moon
Not
Knight.
Claire. Got it.
Well, you could be you too.
Maybe.
He'll
All
be
right.
Moon Knight in a year again.
Draft me.
Don't worry. Just like Frank Castle will come back.
Switching gears here. Next big book is Vader.
Oh yeah, I forgot you drafted Vader.
I did draft Darth Vader. So that is my main character of the book. The villain in this book, or whomever, is everybody else. Writer, Scott Snyder. Artist, Greg Capullo. This is going to be a dark, gritty, nasty book.
How does Darth Vader fit into your universe? Does he come
You'll
over
find
to
out.
Earth?
You'll find out. Don't worry about it. We'll find out a little
you
bit
don't want to
later.
reveal, and you can't tease me a little bit to pick up the book?
No, you find it. I'm going to tease you. I have a whole overview.
What if? Okay, so
Wrote a whole overview.
let's hear it.
Yeah, Eric, smack it.
So
How did nobody draft Warrior?
I thought about it. I'm still waiting for that
Yeah,
Patreon inspired.
It's our next thing. It's our next thing we're gonna do.
All right.
When
All right, so
Mark is
anyway.
like, we need 5 more ongoing titles.
All right, so reimagining the Star Wars universe to fix time continuity issues and dive deep into Anakin's descent and rise into Darth Vader. Follow the Empire's rise to power through the brutality of Vader.
Dig it.
So this is going to fix all the continuity errors I find in the Star Wars universe.
Are you telling me Disney doesn't care about continuity and the
No,
longevity of their characters?
I've never bought that the rebellion rose after a whopping a galactic rebellion rose after 10 years of the Empire being in charge. I don't buy it.
Yeah, it's not enough time
It's not.
because we hardly had a honeymoon period.
Right.
Because at first the Empire was cleaning up the shit, or at least that's what it seemed like.
I agree. I never bought it. This is going to fix those issues for me. And
No one ever
keep
wants to
Vader
say that like the
badass
Mon
character he is.
Calamari are like the Mossad of the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
But I'll say it.
But someone says it. All right. All
So
right.
here's all right. So moving on. Next book is The Dreams of Children. Going back to my core premise here.
Sounds
So
questionable.
this is going to be main character is Erica Slaughter. Little play on the her original title, and secondary character is Dream. Villain are the duplicatypes, which are from Something Is Killing the Children. I think those are fairly generic. Don't think I needed to draft those.
Nah.
And the villain is Mephisto.
All right.
Writer on this book is going to be Jeff Lemire, and the artist is going to be Mark Bagley.
Interesting.
So again, this is following the collapse of the barrier between the wake and sleep realms. The Order of St. George, which is Something Is Killing Children. The Order of the St. George's job has become more difficult. Erica Slaughter has taken up the mantle of the head of the Black Masks and must decide which towns to rescue. Can she put the differences aside with the other masks to contain the threats arising from the dreams of children?
Dig it.
All right, moving on. Next book is Blade.
Next time we're going to do half as many books.
Yeah,
Just
I'm doing my best
this.
to
No,
move.
you're doing great. You're
You
going as
did
fast as
this.
you can go.
Doing my best to move through this. Next book's Blade. Main character's Blade.
Huh.
Not Deacon Frost. With no.
Well, hold
but
on.
What are you going to do with Blade without Deacon Frost? That's what
I got a fix for it.
Enter the
so-
Frost verse.
The villains here are going to be vampires, Bullseye, Hobgoblin, and the all new, all different character,
Don't say it.
Fekin Drost. All new, all different. No one's ever heard of this guy before. He's crazy.
Original
For like 2
character.
seconds, I thought you were
love
going to
him.
say Dracula. I at least like
I
the
did too.
attempt.
I did too.
No, there's no Dracula in this book because I avoided Dracula because I felt kind of cheap.
You don't say.
So, writer on this one's going to be Joshua Williamson because I need some stuff banged out.
Yep.
Artist on this is going to be Joe Quesada. Overview: The Vampire Hunter rises. After being converted by the all-new, all-different vampire leader, Fegan Drost, Blade seeks his revenge.
You mock!
Blade seeks his revenge to rid the world of vampires. Will he succeed? So, boom.
You know, the real question here is how many other titles does Fegan Drost appear in?
That's what yeah.
That's the only.
Or is there an alternate universe where he's the dictator?
No, that's the only one because he's not a very popular character.
All right, what else we got?
Does he die as soon as Gambit dies in mine?
I don't have Gambit in my universe. All right, so I got two more mains. So my next one is just entitled Dream. So this is Dream of the Endless's book. Villains can be Mephisto and Saint of Killers. Writer and artist, once again, Neil Gaiman and Bill Sienkiewicz. Pairing them up again. I just love that combo. I don't know if they've ever worked on a book together, but if they did, I need to find it. And again, following the collapse of the boundary between the awake and sleep realms, Dream works to repair the rift and restore the delicate balance between the worlds.
All right, we got one more main title.
One more main title is called The Syndicate. Mains in this are Ra's al Ghul, Talia al Ghul, and Sebastian Shaw. The writers, James Tinian, artist Jim Starlin. And overview. The world is not run by the known powers, rather a shadowy organization known as the Syndicate wants to bring a new world order to the universe. See the inner workings of the organization through stories from the three heads. So this is going to be the three heads telling their stories of how they rose to power to rule the world.
Very Godfather.
Thank you.
Dig it. All right.
So those are my
to the
so the minis.
Then we'll do our picks.
All right. So here's the minis. So the first mini is actually a 2-part mini series. So this is going to take care of 2 of them.
Okay.
This one is going to be called Broken Dreams. The main characters in this are going to be Dream of the Endless, Midnight Suns, and Spawn. Primary villain here is Mephisto. The writer on this is going to be Scott Snyder, and the artist is Ryan Stegman. Overview here. In the first part is called Shattered Dreams. So a little Gold Dust reference here, Mark.
There you go.
This will introduce the universe to the main books. They're all referenced as happening after the shattering. As Mephisto twists the waking and sleep realms, causing the two to break by unleashing hell spawns upon Dream's realms. To stop the damage, Dream enlists the Midnight Suns and Spawn to take down Mephisto. And this will be split, like I said, into the 2 series, Shattered Dreams, which launches the series and the first story arcs in the books that I mentioned previously. And then it ends with Serendipitous Dream, which ends the first story arc and repairs the rift between the realms.
All right.
All right, the next one. This is my big one that I put a lot of thought into. Mark already knows about this one. This one's called Betrayal. The main characters in this one are Spider-Man and Wolverine. The villain is the Syndicate Group. Writer is Donny Cates. Artist is Mark Bagley. Just love Mark Bagley's Spider-Man art.
That's a cool combo.
Yep. All right. So while under the influence of the Weapon X program, Wolverine is set to kill 2 SHIELD agents in New York City.
Yeah.
He finds them and kills them in the street, leaving the child an orphan. Years later, Peter Parker as Spider-Man teams up with Wolverine to take down the Syndicate. Right. Taking out a field office, Peter finds files on the hit and learns the truth of his parents' death.
Oh, shit.
The killer is his longtime ally Wolverine.
It's going to work with Batman really well, too.
Yeah, I know. That's why I wanted to trade. Follow this book to see if they can reconcile and if New York City will survive it.
Damn.
That's my big book.
I think we have a winner. I'm out. I'm not going to reveal my lineup.
I like how Eric and I's universe is like, how can we take our favorite characters and make their lives miserable?
That's right.
This is very different than the Peter Parker Wolverine body swapping issue of Ultimate Spider-Man.
Nobody talks about that. We don't talk about
that. All right. My last mini, I'll try to make this one short because I got the crossover after that. So this next one is going to be called Harvest Moon. This is going to be Moon Knight and Spider-Man team up. Villains are going to be Scarecrow and Hobgoblin. I always thought it'd be really cool if those two teamed up. Writers Jeff Lemire. Artist is Jim Lee. If Jim Lee can write books or draw books. Overview. As the summer heat gives way to cool autumn air, new threats begin to emerge in New York City. Scarecrow and Hobgoblin team up to harness the powers of the dream realm that have leaked into the real. Can Spider-Man and Moon Knight stop them before they succeed?
Dig it.
All right. Big crossover event. My big crossover event answers your earlier question. This title is called Dark Forces. Oh, it's just called Dark Force. I screwed out the S. Main characters on here are going to be Thor, Green Lantern, Preacher, Wolverine, Midnight Suns, and Xavier's Angels. The villain here is going to be Vader and Galactus. The writer is going to be Ron Mars. Artists are going to be Darryl Banks and Ryan Stegman. Overview. In a galaxy far, far away, an emperor has fallen. His loyal subject lies in pieces, and the victor towers over them. Sensing great power, the victor makes the subject an offer to become his new herald. Vader accepts. The herald is sent to Earth, where he is met by the mightiest heroes. Little do they know his arrival portends the arrival of Galactus. Can the heroes of Earth unite and defeat the powerful pair, or will the dark force prevail? That's my
Now I see how you bring them together.
There we go.
Damn, we really had to build up to that.
That's right.
Wow, man. Well, I dig it. I almost dig it so much that I'm afraid of my own lineup now. I used to think I had a good lineup. I'm not even sure what I think now. I love the Spider-Man Wolverine. That whole storyline is brilliant. I fucking love Vader. I love Vader as Galactus' herald. I'm curious how far Vader would take being ordered around by someone, but he was in that role with the Emperor too. So, but that's maybe part of where you're going to go with all this. So
that's right.
Fucking love it. The idea of Vader just showing up as a herald of the Galactus is just such a fucking cool visual. So that's some cool shit. What do you guys think?
That Syndicate book was gonna be like the top of mine, but that Betrayal series. What I like is I kind of went complicated with mine in order to make them different. And you did that with the first 6 of your titles. But at the end of the day, and this is what we always say on the show, if you can make a simple story really impactful, that's really hardcore. And as soon as you kind of teed that up with the Spider-Man stuff about his parents mysteriously being stabbed earlier, and then tie it with the fact that you're bringing this together, I mean, that right there, that's the mark of a good story. That is what caught my attention. That's my favorite of your titles.
Thank you,
Jeffrey. What do you think? What do you?
I like it.
Out of this?
I dig it. Yeah, definitely Betrayal. The crossover event sounds badass. The Blade series, because Blade's great, and I can't wait to meet. What was it? Fekin Drost?
I can't wait to see what he's all about. I think the world is hyped for Fekin Drost.
The Funkos are already in pre-production.
That's right. Next big thing.
What became a joke has now become the whole thing. I take it as a compliment.
I almost wonder if this should be a 2-part show, and this should just be the end of part 1. I mean, we'll keep doing.
You just want to change your lineup, don't you, Mark?
Yeah, I'll be back in 3 hours. Yes, I gotta shuffle some things around.
I want you to know that we have been planning this since September, and when I counted the emails between us all coordinating it,
probably
102 emails.
Yeah. That was quite a bit.
This ends tonight.
I need more time.
Well, we've been on for an hour, Mark. You know what that means? It's time for some more Fox and Sons.
Yes, it is. It is time for some more Fox and Sons, because when we do a more than 1 hour show, see, this is continuity. Good. While you pee, I'm going to tell people once again that if you've stuck with us this far into the show, then you should surely be supporting our sponsors at Fox & Sons. Even if you don't like coffee, even if you don't care about coffee, even if you're allergic to coffee, just buy some for a friend. Head over to foxandsons.com. Check out the Tanzanian pea berries, the Brazilian honey preps, the Den Blend Dark. I'm a fan of that. Second Print Pod. That discount code gets you 15% off your order. My God, that's right. Every hour. If we go into a third hour, we're doing it again, but we're not going to. We're gonna wrap this in less than an hour. While Remzo does whatever he's got to do, Jeffrey, I'm going to let you decide. Would you like to go last and wait and let me reveal my team, or would you like to go now? I leave it up to you.
I'll go ahead and go now. What the heck?
All right. Save me. I'm not going to say save the best for last. I'm just going to say save me for last. So should we wait for Remzo?
Well, Remzo's not here. Well, I don't know. I don't want his ego to get too big, but his was pretty creative with everything he got. I know we said that before, but pretty darn
creative
good.
For considering the self-imposed handicaps. I think it was pretty creative. All right, there he is. All right, we've decided Jeffrey will go next. So, what do you say, Jeffrey?
All right.
Fire
All
us
right.
away.
So the name of my comic company is Dark Streets Comics, and it's got it's got two different time frames. You got comics set during the Golden Age, and you have comics set during the Modern Age. So my first title is titled simply The Golden Age. Writer Brian Michael Bendis, artist Chris Bachalo. Characters include Superman, Dr. Fate, Hawkman, Hawkgirl, the Spectre, the Shade. And it's sort of a, what do you call it? Where, you shift between characters. What the hell do they call that? But
Perspective change?
Well,
Or
no,
vignette?
it's like in other words, like one issue might be focused on Superman, one might focus on Dr. Fate, one might focus on multiple of them together.
Oh, vignette series. Kind of like Astro City stuff, yeah.
Yeah, basically. And it focuses on their adventures during the golden age of comics from, 1940 to about, 1955. And, villains include various mad scientists, giant robots, drug smugglers, mobsters, so on and so forth. My second series, also set during the Golden Age, is The Sandman. Writer Jeff Smith,
This is Wesley Dodd Sandman then, huh?
Yes, Wesley Dodd Sandman. Writer Jeff Smith, artist Art Spiegelman. And so what I did, basically, I sort of did like the first storyline. So in this one, first storyline would be that, Wesley Dodds is investigating a series of burglaries, but the suspect leaves no trace behind and doesn't lock the doors or anything. So he starts to wonder if he might be up against another Sandman, Flint Marko. So Sandman v. Sandman. Next title, also Golden Age, is titled The Spirit. Writer Art Spiegelman, artist Jeff Smith. So I flipped them around. And characters, obviously the Spirit. But I've decided to make Harvey Dent sort of the overarching bad during the Golden Age period. That, he starts out as sort of a moderately corrupt DA, and as time goes by, he compromises more and more until eventually his true nature reveals itself. And so that's what the initial storyline of The Spirit will focus on, but he'll pop up.
He's kind of got that Golden Age feel to him.
Yeah. And he'll pop up in the other two titles as well. And then, so my next title is a shifting timeline. It starts, in the 60s and moves its way through time. And that is called Clark Kent Superman. Writer is Grant Morrison. Artist is Todd McFarlane. Characters include Superman, Magneto, Emma Frost, Norman Osborn. So the initial storyline I had in mind would be set in the 60s, and it would bring Superman in conflict with the master of magnetism, Magneto. And it would show what happens when a person who has absolute faith in humanity comes up against somebody who has absolutely none.
I dig that.
Yeah.
Can Magneto control kryptonite? Is kryptonite a metal?
I don't
Am
know.
I giving you an idea?
I have no idea, but I mean, he can control
What if he had a
metal.
kryptonite version of his helmet? I don't know why I'm helping you, but I think it's a cool idea. I like it.
And the second storyline of that would be set in the 70s and would involve journalist Clark Kent going to being assigned to cover the gala opening of the new Hellfire Club in Metropolis, which is being opened by a person named Emma Frost, who, little does he know, has the ability to read minds. So what happens when somebody discovers that Clark Kent is Superman and decides to blackmail him with that information? And then the third storyline would move it up into the 80s and would involve Norman Osborn, who, in this case, he's sort of my stand-in for Lex Luthor, except he's more like Syndrome from The Incredibles, where he's grown up, with Superman as this hero. And he's, started out, he loved him, but his love has turned to hate and bitterness over time. And so he wants to basically bring down the god, So anyway, that's the start of that series. And then at this point, we move up into the modern age. So first series is The Punisher. Writer Matt Wagner, artist Sam Keith. Characters include Punisher, Peacemaker, Grendel, Deadshot. First storyline, the Punisher, he's been around for a little while, and he's, been carrying out his message to his mission to punish evildoers. And there's another guy who's been out there punishing evildoers, and they've been, circling each other for a while. But then when this person's mission destroys a school bus full of children, the Punisher decides that's a step too far, and the man called Peacemaker must be punished. And mind you, this Peacemaker, this is Nazi ghost helmet Peacemaker, not James Gunn Peacemaker. This is full-on bizarre 80s Peacemaker. And in the modern age, Grendel, he's basically the guy in charge of all the, he's the kingpin of crime in my world. So he'll be popping up in several different series, such as, I'm missing a page.
Oh no.
Where is it?
And you want to trust in their company.
Daredevil, writer Mike Mignola, artist John Romita Jr. Characters include Daredevil, the Shredder, Lady Deathstrike, and Grendel. First storyline would involve the Daredevil investigating a new criminal group in the city called the Foot Clan.
Oh, I like it.
And, brings him,
it's natural.
And brings him in conflict with the Shredder, as well as his lover, Lady Deathstrike. So, and then, of course, future storylines will involve him.
How's that couple going to handle the Benjamin?
They find a way.
Slicing each other up.
They find a way.
Yeah, life finds a way. But so next one is Hawkman and Hawkgirl. Now, if you recall, they were around in the Golden Age, and of course, they age like normal people, but they reincarnate. So this storyline, it's written by Brian Michael Bendis with art by Jason Latour. Characters include Hawkman, Hawkgirl, and Hunter's Moon. First storyline, no sooner are Hawkman and Hawkgirl reunited in a new life than claiming to be the Fist of Khonshu shows up to take them out for unspecified crimes.
Uh-oh, you got to watch out for a copyright claim from Eric over Khonshu. Might be tied into Moon Knight.
Yeah, but Hunter's Moon is the other Fist of Khonshu.
That's true.
Do you have freaking DOST too?
What's that?
Do you have freaking DOST too?
DOS? Yes, I do.
No, he's got Screaking Crossed.
Screaking Crossed, okay.
Yeah, and I have freaking Lost.
All new, all different, uncanny, astonishing.
Bishop Ice. Bishop Ice is my guy. Let's see. And so my next My next
we're at
story.
the halfway point, so let's do
okay.
let's do our picks. What are you guys picking up? Other than I do love the idea of Daredevil mixing it up with Shredder. That's obviously a natural combination in so many ways, especially considering the Turtles were inspired by Daredevil. But as a Superman fan, I'm really digging the idea of the Superman Norman Osborn, especially how you laid out the idea of Osborn sort of looking up to him and sort of developing a hatred for him over time as he grew Oscorp. I love that. That's probably the one that I'm going to pick up the most. Especially, I do love that one as it goes sort of through the ages, which is a lot of what Alan Moore did with some of his Supreme stuff. So I think that would be probably my number one pick out of that group. What do you guys think?
Mine too, because it reminded me of Spider-Man Fantastic Four life story. I like seeing that type of thing. And you're the only one so far to come up with this idea of multiple storylines across different eras. So, I mean, I think, doing that with Superman, when you named your villains, I was like, well, I don't know how that's going to work, but how you tied up the relationship and the motivations, I think that tied that up really well. That Superman series is probably my favorite.
Okay.
Yeah, I really like the. I'm gonna change a little bit. I really like the Sandman book. I thought that sounded really cool. Just taking Sandman back to the Golden Age is pretty damn cool.
Yeah. So, So going forward, just let me explain something to you about the timeline. So my characters. So Superman ages slowly. Hawkman and Hawkgirl reincarnate. Dr. Fate is a freaking sorcerer, The Spirit ages slowly too. The Spectre is the left hand of God. So as far as I'm concerned, they're all valid to appear.
Yeah, it's kind of like
the
the
Golden
Justice
Age
Society
and
now.
the Modern
I mean,
Age.
a lot of them, they all have the reasons that they could be alive or not be aging as much or what have you.
Yeah. But okay, so next up we have The Question. Writer Sam Keith, artist Mike Mignola. Characters include The Question and the Joker. So obviously, first storyline there, reporter Vic Sage is investigating a series of serial killings through the city where the victims are found with a rictus on their face. And what happens next? It's the Joker. Everybody likes the Joker. Then, let's see, we've got the one you're all waiting for, Darkhawk, of course. Nice. Writer Michael Bendis, artist Joe.
Wait a minute. Did you use Bendis 3 times?
This is the third time.
You can do that, right? That's right.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Artist twice, writers 3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Artist is Joe Madureira. However the hell you pronounce that. Anyway, characters include Darkhawk and the Juggernaut.
Love that combo.
Yeah. First storyline, Darkhawk finds an amulet, turns him into Darkhawk. Fortunately, somebody else just found a magic thing. So, boom, Darkhawk fighting Juggernaut right out the gate.
Love it.
Then we have the Shade. Oh yeah, the Shade is also another Golden Age character, but he's immortal. Writer is Todd McFarlane, artist Chris Bachalo.
Writer Todd McFarlane, interesting.
Yeah. Characters include the Shade, Mr. Sinister, and the Leader. And it's basically these guys want to find out the secret of his immortality. And he doesn't want to give it to him. So there you go. That's that one. Then we've got Dr. Fate. Writer Grant Morrison, artist John Romita Jr. Characters include Dr. Fate, Dormammu, and Cassandra Nova. So the plot of this is when we get to the miniseries, ever since a certain event occurred, Dr. Fate has noticed that the world has become a darker place. And so he sets out to uncover the source of this darkness that's spreading through the world. And it takes him beyond our realm. So there you go.
Dig it.
Was that all 12? Did I miss one somewhere?
I think you're missing one.
Yeah, I think you got one more.
Yeah. What was the last one?
I did Dr. Fate. I did Sandman, Daredevil, The Question, Spectre,
Dr.
Spirit.
Fate, I think, was the 10th. What was after that?
No, that was 11.
So maybe I missed one somewhere.
Darkhawk, Shade.
I'll take your word for it.
Am I missing one?
I had the Joker,
Yeah, missing one.
Darkhawk, Shade, Dr. Fate.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Which one? Oh, the Spectre. Okay. The Spectre. Writer Kurt Busiek. Artist Ashley Wood. Characters include the Spectre, Angela, and Dormammu. And so, for years, the left hand of God has meted out vengeance. But he's tasked with his greatest threat ever because he has to try and prevent a rogue angel from starting a second war in heaven. And that would, of course, be Angela. And it's just possible that Dormammu might be pulling the strings. So that is the last of my regular series. So the mini-series. The first one is called The Incursion. Writer is Kurt Busiek. Artist is Jason Latour. The synopsis is it's set in 1980 when the sky cracks open and demons begin appearing. The Golden Age heroes must find it within themselves to stop the incursion before it's too late. Now, of course, the incursion is being caused by Dormammu attempting to enter our reality. And, of course, this is at the point at which the aging Hawkman and Hawkgirl sacrifice themselves to save the world. Then we've got The Seed, 6 issues. Writer is Emily Carroll. Artist is Emily Carroll. It says, in the early 80s, a young girl named Cassandra Nova begins discovering her latent powers, as well as a friend that only she can hear. A friend that whispers to her about the secrets that lie behind the veil of reality. All right. I'll give you one guess who that might be. Third.
I'm stumped.
It's Dormammu.
Oh, it's Dormammu. Okay.
Yeah. Third
I'm slow.
Third is called Axis of Evil. It's set during modern times. Writer Kurt Busiek, artist Joe Madrona. Says an underground war breaks out between Norman Osborn, Mr. Sinister, and the leader over the ultimate prize, Superman's hair follicle. So there you go. And then my last
is George Bush in that one?
Listen here, Norman Osborn.
And then the last one
negotiate with super terrorists.
And the last one is simply called Grendel v. Shredder. Writer Matt Wagner, artist Alex Ross. Says, when Hunter Rose's criminal empire begins being attacked by a mysterious band of ninjas, there will be hell to pay.
A fully painted book of this?
Yes.
Awesome. Sounds
Hey, I saved Alex Ross for a reason. Then the big crossover event is called Hearts of Darkness. Writer Grant Morrison, artist Alex Ross. Years after his initial defeat, Dormammu has succeeded in fully tearing open the veil between his plane and ours. While the Golden Age heroes embark on a desperate mission, in other words, Golden Age heroes, I mean, the heavy hitters. Yeah. While the Golden Age heroes embark on a desperate mission to the heart of his realm on Earth, his vessel, Cassandra Nova, has created an ever-growing wave of madness that threatens to leave nothing for them to return to. So another group must try to find a way to eliminate her, and that will be all of the street-level characters. So you got 2 Heart of Darkness journeys.
Dig it. All right, gang, what are we thinking? I cannot, obviously, I'm never going to be able to resist Alex Ross, but I'm picturing some full-page spreads of Grendel and Shredder just tearing into each other, and no way I'm not picking that up. And I got to pick up Darkhawk versus the fucking Juggernaut. That's just badass. I like your Jeffrey. I think there's a lot of fun stuff in here. I mean, that seems to be which comic should be. Whereas Remzo had a very dark world, yours is pretty damn fun. So I like your style. What do you guys think?
I think separating things out based off, a single timeline and then having your stories break out. Everything seems very, very uniform. And I think
a little less confusing than 2 universes off the bat, huh?
People like that shit, Mister. I bought all of Jonathan Hickman.
And by all of them, I just he's just going to do some writing for me and make some blueprints.
Yeah, I think that Shredder v. Grendel or Grendel v. Shredder, that one is like, I want to see the blood.
How long is it going to take him to paint that whole series? I hope he started now.
That'll be great. That'll be great visuals.
Eric, what about you? What are you picking up out of this?
Yeah, I love that. The Grendel versus Shredder. I love that book. That sounds really fun. Really like the story of the Dr. Fate book. And then obviously Daredevil and Shredder. I mean, those were kind of like key books for me. Those sound really good. And then the first one that you kind of glossed over, Mark, was it sounded like Superman was going after some drug dealers in that first book.
Well, you know how
we all know how you feel about that.
You know how I feel about that.
Mark has very strong opinions that have followed us for 4 years on that.
I might be more pro Superman than I was a few years ago. My opinions have evolved a little bit.
Old Mark is like fighting new Mark, and it's just like, yeah, he should have done that. He should have set them on fire.
Maybe they shouldn't be selling drugs in the neighborhood. Like Mark with the kids, like,
Maybe he had to make a point.
Their house down.
I mean,
Sometimes you need tough love.
The same, on the flip of the coin, on the other side of the coin, though, you got the property value. So, Superman can't be going around doing that.
Hopefully we have saved the best for last. I will now get into my reveal of my company, known as
How much were you having to reshuffle listening to all of ours?
Not at all. Right. My company is
I saw an awful lot of typing.
I was keeping track of everyone else's team, so I wasn't readjusting my team.
That's what.
Okay, Mark.
Whatever you want.
My company is called First Print Comics. Everybody, First Print Comics. It's the first place you go. We're not going to wait for no second print shit. You're going to get the first run, and a gimmick of my company. I just made this up. There are no second prints. It's first. We're scarcity from the beginning. Whatever the first print is, you better fucking go get those books. Maybe they'll be worth nothing. Maybe they're going to be worth a lot. You better.
And this
better go get them now.
Got into NFTs.
There's no second printings. Everything's going to be blockchain verified that it's an original part of the original print. And copywriters will be prosecuted heavily. That being said, let's dive in. The first book, Shadow of the Bat, starring Batman. Got to have a flagship Batman title. And I've got my man Jeff Johns writing Batman. I don't think he's ever written. I know he hasn't ever written a full-time series of full-time Batman. I've always loved him when he has written Batman. I love Three Jokers. I have enjoyed the few times that he has written Batman in various other books. So I'm sticking Jeff Johns on Batman, and I'm sticking him with Armonico. It's a pretty straightforward, the Batman's origin is pretty much what we know it to be. It features Batman doing Batman things along with his usual supporting cast. So I have the whole family here. I've got Alfred Pennyworth. I've got Catwoman. He has his on again, off again relationship with Catwoman. Damian Wayne, Bane, Riddler as villains. We're not reinventing the wheel here. We're giving you some fucking Batman straight up off the bat. The one little twist here is that his chief rival in this world is actually fellow industrialist Lex Luthor, who often operates in Gotham City through intermediaries that sort of work for him, like a Bane and the Riddler. So that becomes part of the thread that Batman pulls on as he fights his normal rogues gallery. He starts to find that some of this is coming through Lex Luthor, and they're also public rivals as well. We then move on.
So just a quick question.
Sure.
How hard was it for you to not put Tom King on this book?
It wasn't that hard. And I will remind everyone, Tom King is on my squad, and he will have a role. Not the biggest role, but he will have a role. He's like, he answers he writes the letters column. Can we do that?
Is he writing your Kite Man book?
Maybe. If only I had drafted Kite Man. If only I was smart enough to use my third round pick on Kite Man. Next one, we are again not reinventing the wheel too much here. I'm going to go back to an old favorite. I'm going to go back to one of my favorite runs of all time, and we're going to run it back. Because if anyone can run it back, it's Alan Moore coming out of retirement to work for First Print Comics and to write, again, not reinventing the wheel, The Saga of the Swamp Thing by Alan Moore with art by Daniel Warren Johnson, because that just sounds cool to me. So it's a DWJ drawing Alan Moore's Swamp Thing. Alan Moore is back for one final run. Alan Moore reinvented this character of Swamp Thing, not Alec Holland Swamp Thing. This time complemented by art from Daniel Warren Johnson. And he has an interesting new love interest. Move over, Abby Arcane. Now this not Alec Holland has a new love interest. It is the also somewhat white-haired Rogue, who's a part of the series. And Rogue can actually, because she can take powers, Rogue can actually like touch Swamp Thing and enter the green herself and do all sorts of weird things and have weird green psychedelic sex, as has happened in a recent Swamp Thing issue that I read.
I'm sold.
It's a fun one. Yeah, there's this issue where Alan Moore, I probably won't do a whole podcast on it one day, that writes Swamp Thing, and it's where like Abby and Swamp Thing reveal their love to each other. So they can't have sex. He's like, but we can do something better. And he's like, you can eat me. So he like gives her like fruit from him, and she eats it, and they go into this psychedelic realm, and they're like, it's
that around the same time that he allowed Constantine to fuck his wife so they could have a kid?
Somewhere around there. It's before that. But yeah. same thread. So yeah, that's what happens there. And weird stuff like that is going to happen only with Rogue in this series. Moving on, Fantastic Four, written by Jeff Johns, art by Gary Frank. This is a combination that I'm a big fan of, so I stuck them together on one of my all-time favorite books. I don't think, maybe Jeff Johns did, I think he like has an issue or two of a credit in Marvel, but he's really been primarily a DC guy. So one of the things I wanted to do was get him on a traditionally Marvel book. What better than some of my favorite characters? And I drafted them all. I drafted Reed, Sue, Johnny Storm, Ben. I didn't draft the little fucking robot. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'll have a different robot. There will be robots involved in this. And yeah, Jeff Johns, he writes the second flagship title of this universe, the Fantastic Four. They cover more of the cosmic multiversal threats that arise, with their primary antagonist being Darkseid. Since I don't have Galactus, Darkseid is really the cosmic threat in this universe. And so they're always trying to ward off the threat of Darkseid, who wants to come, take over Earth, take over the universe, turn everything into a hellscape and whatnot, which will tie into my big event and my crossover later. Part of this, now this is a contained universe, but there is the existence of the multiverse, as we will learn through Reed Richards. Reed Richards has access to the multiverse because he is a member of the Council of Reeds. So there will be a storyline that I'll talk about a little later on that does involve a little bit of multiversal action via Reed Richards, but we'll get there. Title number 4.
Question.
Yes.
Can I ask you a question? Yeah. Fantastic Four. Will it be Sue Storm focused?
What do you mean by focused?
Oh, sorry. No, I was talking. Remember the earlier rumors about the MCU Fantastic Four movie that it was going to be Sue Storm focused?
Okay. That fell because I didn't make the connection, but that is a good point. While it will not necessarily be Sue Storm focused, there will be times when the reader is focused on Sue Storm because she will be wearing her 90s cleavage garb the entire time, and there will be no question about that. I will not have it any other way. That is the outfit that I drafted for this. So that is my third book. Moving on to another one. This is not just Hellboy. I'm gonna market this properly. This is Frank Miller's Hellboy. I'm bringing in Frank Miller to write a Hellboy book with art by someone who he's drawn Hellboy on a number of occasions in his own book. I've always enjoyed his Hellboy art, and I've always wanted to see him on a Hellboy book. So art by my boy, Eric Larson, written by Frank Miller, art by Eric Larson. Again, I'm not reinventing the wheel too terribly much yet. Will be a little reinvention later, but this is basically the Hellboy we know and love. Little twist here. There's a supporting character. Well, of course, Abe Sapien is a supporting character. I've drafted him as well. A supporting character, Nick Fury, because in my universe, Hellboy and Nick Fury, as you'll find out in a miniseries later, they go way back. And now Nick Fury is basically like Hellboy's handler in this universe.
Is he Hasselhoff Nick Fury or Chocolate Nick Fury?
He is the Hasselhoff Fury. That is the one I specifically. Nice. He's literally, I drafted David Hasselhoff himself to be this Nick Fury. So it's Hasselhoff Fury as the handler for Hellboy, who will go on all sorts of adventures and misadventures. I imagine him. He's not an official supporting character, but he will be interacting with Swamp Thing, entering the green, and things like this. Weird things.
I have to specify before I get canceled. I only called Samuel Jackson Chocolate Nick Fury because I saw somebody on Twitter refer to Hasselhoff or White Nick Fury as Vanilla Fury and Chocolate Fury. And it wasn't like anything else. You just want to specify.
Were we to get canceled, we would have to have something to be canceled from, and getting canceled would actually prove that we were cancelable, which would actually prove that we had made
relevant.
It. So I'm fine. I'm fine with it.
Okay.
Next book.
You sure you don't want to switch the artist and writer on that book?
I'm 100% positive, actually.
Okay. I just want to make sure, before we move any further.
You really want me? No, no. This is the book.
Eric. No.
Eric Larson for Sense Hellboy. No.
Yeah. No. That doesn't sound as good. That doesn't sound as good. It's not. Right. It's Frank Miller presents Hellboy. All right. Moving on. And when you buy the rights from me, you can switch all this stuff up.
By Eric Larson.
My next book. It's not just Invincible. It's motherfucking King Invincible, because this Invincible in this reality has pretty much experienced for more or less the timeline of Invincible that we saw in the Invincible book. At the end of that, he was basically the king of the Viltrumites, living off in space, doing King Mark Grayson type things. This book will be, but featured in this book will be old Invincible rival Robot. This book is going to be written by Eric Larson. So Eric will get his wish, and he will get to see Eric Larson as a writer as well. He's going to be serving a few roles in my company here. And artist Harmonico, someone whose art I have really, really enjoyed on the new Green Lantern book. I'm sticking him right here on this Invincible title, doing other space type stuff. So in this book, Eric Larson takes the reins of Invincible as the grown-up Mark Grayson, the king of the Viltrumites, remains as Earth's cosmic liaison, and he sort of helps with threats that arise from the cosmos. He also makes occasional returns to Earth, however, as he still likes to grab a burger and a shake now and then. So he also does mix it up with the normal cast of heroes, and he does have a past in this Earth as well that I'll get into in a little bit. Number 6, again, a lot of my stuff here early on, not reinventing things necessarily. There's a little bit of a twist on this, though, I guess, not on the story, but on the writer. A writer who I've never really seen on other characters outside of Marvel, I don't think I've seen, but on writing my Flash, the Fastest Man Alive book, starring Barry Allen Flash. This will be written by Peter David, artist Humberto Ramos, someone who I've loved ever since the days of, I think he drew Impact in the 90s, and he's still kicking around. And so I have him on another Speedster book here, and it's pretty simple stuff. Peter David comes to the Flash, where Barry Allen tries to settle down into a normal life in Keystone City, but as you can imagine, doesn't really go that well. Yeah, I don't have specific villains and stuff that I have left over to draft for this stuff, but just imagine he's got a lot of villains to deal with because they don't let him live a nice, simple, retired life. That's my halfway point. Any comments? Any thoughts? What do you like? What do you not like?
I'm definitely picking up Saga the Swamp Thing. I think that sounds like a pretty good reboot. I am surprised how much you like whatever that guy's name is, Harmonico's art.
Just happens to be on my. It's the only 2 books he's on. Like, just.
He's terrible. I hate his art.
Oh, you don't like him
Lantern.
at all?
I hate him. I hate him. It's awful. Well, he can't draw faces for anything.
Different strokes for different folks. I see faces. I'm aware of their faces. I don't know. I see it differently, but okay.
Yeah.
I think you've been a little loose with the copy and paste button, Mark. But Frank Miller's Hellboy, that for me is a selling point alone.
Why was I loose with it? What, was I in a wrong document or something?
No, because a lot of your stuff is still sticking with the same premise.
Oh, that copy and paste button.
He's taking a shot, Mark.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to make money. That was the premise of this project, is that we're trying to make money and sell comic books. So that's a lot of what I'm going with early on. Correct. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. I think Batman is going to sell better. I think Batman by Jeff Johns will objectively sell better than, Victor Von Doom Sorcerer Supreme. Can anyone argue that? Can anyone argue this? Okay, that's what I thought. Moving along.
I liked the Fantastic Four. I'm always up for Fantastic Four.
I'll be honest, my own same criticism so far, going through my own list after going through yours, that there's not. You guys did a lot more reinvention, and I don't have as much reinvention of the wheel. So fair enough. But I think
you did seal it together with Sue's 90s costume. So yeah, that's a pretty big selling point.
I am thinking business here. All right, business, all business.
I dig it
all the time.
Are there any all new, all different characters you're going to be introducing in any of these books?
Well, maybe in one of my next books. So next up, we have another character. This is the Dastardly.
I see what you're trying to do, Eric.
The Dastardly Deadpool.
I see it. Sorry, Mark.
I like how that sounds. It's the Dastardly Deadpool. And in this book, well, I should say first, this book is written by Garth Ennis, with art by Jason Fabok. The Dastardly Deadpool. And in this book, Deadpool is actually trying to turn over a new leaf. He's actually trying to start a new life. Well, not necessarily a new leaf. He's still going to be a killer and a mercenary, but he's trying to get a new start. So he decides to move to Gotham City, where a grittier, maybe angrier, and maybe even funnier Deadpool takes to the streets of Gotham, because that's where the big jobs are. That's where all the big jobs are coming. So he heads over to Gotham City, where he runs into, of course, characters like Jason Todd, the Red Hood, who he kind of, becomes a sort of a friendly rival with, I guess you might say. Catwoman, who he hits on incessantly, as well as running afoul of Gotham's own villains like Bane and the Riddler. And of course, at some point, he's going to run into our man Batman. So that is my premise for Deadpool. Moving on to the next book. This is World's Finest. This is actually a period piece here. This is starring Batman and Invincible of this universe, but it is tales from their early history. So in my version of these events, Invincible was kind of like the Superman of his universe in his early years before he took off to space, and Batman was Batman. So this is sort of tales of their early days, their early team ups. They might even fight some drug dealers, some street crime type stuff. There may be robots that they're battling. There may be dinosaurs. There may be all sorts of creatures that these two are teaming up to battle. I gave the synopsis before I even brought in the team. So this one's going to be written by Mark Waid. I think Mark Waid is one of the best straight up superhero writers, especially when we're looking back into the Silver Age, Superman, Batman team up type stuff. I don't think you can go wrong with Mark Waid, so I'm sticking him on this book. And like I said, it is a look back at some of the early adventures of this universe's version of the world's finest, Batman and Invincible. Man, Remzo's really going to hit my copy and paste button here. Yeah, I toyed with so many names for the superhero team, but honestly, Justice League of America just sounds the best. So the next book is the Justice League of America. And again, this is the superhero team of this universe. This version of the Justice League of America is has Batman, Iron Man, The Flash, Barry Allen, the Hulk, Bruce Banner, Shazam, Billy Batson, and Stargirl, Courtney Whitmore. Supporting cast, Alfred Pennyworth. And of course, there's a little bit of Nick Fury in there because they have to have a government liaison as well. And Nick Fury is the government liaison for everything in my universe. This one is written by Warren Ellis. I really wanted to have Warren Ellis in a little more of a political book, and this will be a little more of a political book. This while it is on the surface the Justice League, behind the scenes, by the way, art by Rags Morales. I absolutely loved his work, his run on Justice Society of America in the 90s. I think he's great on a team book, so I wanted to put him on my team book. So in this, the flagship team book is the Justice League. They take on all of the sort of the earthly level threats, whereas the Fantastic Four take out more of the cosmic type multiverse, what have you issues. And but the drama in this one really picks up. And this is why I wanted to have Warren Ellis on this, because there's a little bit of a dark, sinister sort of side to this. And my only regret is I didn't draft the weatherman, Henry Bendis, because he's actually who I would love to have sort of in this role. But this is funded by Batman and Tony Stark, essentially, the Iron Man and Bruce Wayne. But somewhere along the way here, the drama really picks up when Batman finds out that Tony Stark has been exchanging technology with LexCorp, with Lex Luthor, and that due to some behind-the-scenes shenanigans, LexCorp actually has access to the Justice League's activities, and that starts a sort of a chain of events that leads to some drama that I will cover later in some of my other series and crossovers. So there's a lot of Batman Lex Luthor stuff in this. They are rivals, but there's also there's also Luthor's involvement with the Justice League. Tony Stark is not quite necessarily on the level. He's sort of maybe a darker, I wouldn't say sinister Tony Stark necessarily, but he's he doesn't have his own flagship title because he's a little more of a side sort of semi-villainous character, I would even say, in this book, or at least shades of gray in my universe. He's more about like making money, and Iron Man is kind of his sort of public persona for PR reasons, that kind of thing. As is his creation of the Justice League and his relationship with Luthor. So that's where I bring in Warren Ellis to sort of handle that political end of things. Moving on. The next book is The Legend of Shazam. The Legend of Shazam, not the Wizard Shazam, but Shazam, Billy Batson, Captain Marvel, whatever we want to call him. He's Shazam. Supporting cast, Courtney Whitmore, Stargirl, because one thing I really loved about Jeff Johns' run on the JSA, there was a budding relationship between Billy Batson and Stargirl. Now, in the reality of the thing, he's a teenager, she's a teenager, all good, no problem. But they didn't really explore this too much because Jeff Johns ended up leaving the book. But there was like sometimes a scene where a character would see Billy, but in the Shazam form, like kind of talking to Courtney and kind of giving him a side eye. So I wanted to explore that idea more. The idea that this teenager in an adult body as a superhero is actually in a relationship with another teenager appropriately, but because his public persona is this adult superhero, it's kind of a tricky situation.
And the antagonist is Chris Hansen.
Supporting cast,
Captain Marvel.
Chris Hansen. Supporting cast, Chris Hansen.
With Stargirl.
To weave this tale for me. Yeah. Why are you meeting Stargirl here in this cave, in this wizard's cave? The writer of this book, harkening back to
emoji, Billy.
Harkening back to his work on Supreme, I've brought in Alan Moore to write this book, and artist Gary Frank, whose work I enjoy greatly. Synopsis: Alan Moore remakes the magic he had with Supreme, only now with Shazam, Billy Batson, as he has to weigh the challenges of being an adult in an adult superhero body while also being in a relationship with teenager in a teenager body, Courtney Whitmore. This book is going to tread some lines that might get uncomfortable for certain readers, but we're going to ride it. We're going to be on the right side. The corporation will be okay with the way we handle it. You know,
I think
Disney
I think
had
we just
Wonder
got
Woman
canceled with
rape
this
the
book.
innocent man who was under mind control in Wonder Woman 84.
I would like to say, yeah, that's way worse than this.
Yeah, like, that's
she
way
raped a gay
worse than
guy.
this.
Like, come on. No, and they will never have sexual intercourse when he is in the Shazam body. I'm going to say that right now for the record. So
Thank you.
None of that stuff is happening, nor will it even be implied. All right, we're not going there.
I'm starting to think that you called yourself First Print Comics because you're not going to be around for a second print.
Shazam!
You know, you guys are going to do all this fan fiction and come up with your fun little feek draw shit stories, and you're going to be out of business in 2 weeks because no one's going to buy that stuff.
And Mark is going to get a visit from the FBI.
And Chris Hansen's going to be at my house.
No, I believe.
What's this podcast you're talking about?
Yeah.
Sit down.
I believe that slash fic is a form of fanfic. So
let's not go there.
All right, 2 more main books.
We found some boundaries on this show finally.
2 more main books, then we'll get into the fun stuff. I'm saving the best for last. Next up, Deathstroke, the Assassin. This is Deathstroke being an assassin. It's fairly straightforward. He runs into some people that you might imagine he might run into. People like fellow assassins and mercenaries like Deadpool, like Red Hood, Jason Todd. But this
Didn't
one
want
is...
to call it Wade and Slade?
Fuck.
Buddy cop?
I wish I thought of that. Yeah, that one. I'm not going to call it that, but good idea.
That was nice.
And they're going to call, because one's the mimic of the other anyway. I forget which is. Deadpool is the one that's the take on
Deadpool is the knockoff of Deathstroke.
Anyway, they're going to see. Deadpool already has his own book, so I didn't, but he's going to be a. Damn, that's so good. Fuck, you should have been my PR guy. Anyway, Garth Ennis, written by Garth Ennis, artist by Frank Miller. So don't worry, Frank Miller's going to be drawing. I just know his limits. I can't put him on more than one book. My synopsis is Garth Ennis and Miller and Frank Miller on Deathstroke. Need I say more? I don't think I should need to say more. Jeffrey probably seems to think I should say more, but I'm not going to. Last book. You want it different? I'm going to give you fucking different. All right. I'm bringing it back with different characters. You don't even know it probably ever existed. I'm bringing back Freak Force. This is a book that was by Eric Larson about a bunch of freaks that formerly were on the police force, then formed their own sort of mercenary unit. Now, in this universe, there's a sort of a twist. This is more like this universe's version of the Suicide Squad. It features a lot of characters that have run afoul of the law, done some shady things and whatnot, and they're sort of sent on some of the more dangerous missions that they wouldn't necessarily want to go on, even for money on their own. So there's a little bit of element of coercion here. And the characters in this book, well, first of all, it's written by, this is my favorite part. This is the combination that you never thought you'd see. You never thought you'd see these two work together. But money talks, and money is going to bring these two once rivals together on this book. This book is going to be drawn by Eric Larson, the creator of the original Freak Force, and it's going to be written by Peter David. They're going to be together at last in harmony.
They're never going to step in a room with each other.
They don't need to step in a room with each other because we have the internet, and he just needs to send scripts over, and it's going to, again, we're going to make headlines, all right? All right, you guys enjoy your little feek and dross and your little fan, your multiple universes and your different timelines. You enjoy all that while I'm swimming in the.
Yeah, guys, suck it with your originality. Yeah.
All right, Freak Force. Here's the team of Freak Force. It's going to feature Deadpool, Red Hood, Catwoman, Casey Jones, Abe Sapien, who is not really the mercenary one. He's more of like the government sends him along and he works with the government kind of thing. In the background, this team is actually secretly run by Robot, which none of them actually really know. They don't even know that Robot's alive.
Oh, that's a spin.
There's a spin there, yes. Because nobody really, Robot is defeated and gone, but Robot's brain survived, and he's sort of a looming villain and looming aspect behind a lot of the machinations that go on in this universe, including the fact that he secretly runs Freak Force for his own needs. They kind of think they're just working straight for the government for whatever thing, but they're actually really working for Robot and sort of his plan to sort of overtake things and whatnot.
Do you want to take this opportunity to throw Shazam in there while we're talking about a team that does questionable things?
I don't get the joke. Oh, I do get the joke.
Yeah.
I do get the joke. Maybe I'll think about it. If he gets arrested, that would be a funny storyline. That's what he gets arrested for, and then they're like, "Look, unless you do this, we're gonna release the tape of you and Stargirl." So
Chris Hansen's drafted to the team too.
Chris Hansen is actually the government liaison that runs
Freak
Force. Is just all the ones they have. Instead of like a bomb in their head, it's just all the freaky things they've done caught on tape, and it's just all blackmail based. I'm altering the plot right now as we speak.
I love that. That is good.
They found Abe Sapien's, dirty photos and whatnot.
He fucked a fish.
All right. Well, I was saving my good stuff for last here.
Is this Aquaman comics?
And we're not done with the underage situation with Courtney either. She's coming back. All right. I got 4 miniseries for you. But by the way, are you buying any of these? I know Jeffrey's totally out in this company, so I'm not gonna ask him.
Whoa! No, I'll buy something. All
right.
I kind of want to see where this Shazam Stargirl thing goes, just out of morbid curiosity.
I'm gonna pick up a couple of things off the cheap at the FBI auction. So if I pick up a couple runs, definitely Saga the Swamp Thing, Frank Miller's Hellboy. Those are 2 things that I'm picking up.
It's not Eric Larson's Hellboy.
It sounds pretty good. Good.
Fair enough.
I like it. I'd pick up Wade and Slade if you'd made that series, but oh well. But I'll do the Suicide Squad.
It's called Freak Force. But fair enough. Remzo, come on. What am I going to get out of here?
When you mentioned that Robot was going to be in charge of the Suicide Squad-esque version of Freak Force, and then you kind of changed up the roster, you had me sold when you went ahead and talked about what is keeping them together, which is blackmail. I think that would be hilarious because instead of blowing their heads up, it's like they're in the middle of like New York City, and next on the Jumbotron, you just see like Abe Sapien going at it with Flounder.
It's like they got video of Abe Sapien like fucking a giant fish.
What's he doing to the octopus, Mom?
It's all them doing weird sexual acts. It's like Casey Jones with the hockey stick.
And then Abe shoots himself. He's just like, oh well.
All right, that's the new plot, and that's why it's called Freak Force, because it's all their freaky acts caught on tape and blackmailed by Robot, who's also done some freaky stuff in his robot body. We're not even gonna
get all of these coming in black poly bags.
You thought I was unoriginal until everything became about weird sex acts.
They're like the smut magazines that are in the plastic at gas stations.
The key to my universe is that everything is ultimately based on a very smutty activities going on in the background.
Are you an imprint of Pornhub?
Perhaps. All right, you ready for my miniseries? All right.
I don't know at this point.
I hate
Let's
you
go.
guys. All right,
let's go.
Miniseries number 1. We're gonna go learn a little.
Is the first one gonna be Nightfall?
We're gonna learn a little bit of the history of this universe.
The Avenging Chris Hansen.
It's Nick Fury and the Creature Commandos. This is a period piece set in, well, I would have said the 50s, but in our modern age, a period piece is now in Afghanistan. So this is during the Afghanistan war, where Nick Fury forms the Creature Commandos along with a young Hellboy. This features Nick Fury, Hellboy, Abe Sapien, and essentially they go through Afghanistan, essentially under the cover of the Afghanistan war, but really they're there working to take down all sorts of combinations of various terrorist threats, as well as unearth ancient cryptid type threats that have been unearthed through the actual war that's going on, and through the destruction of monuments and temples. All sorts of spirits, all sorts of weird monsters are coming out of the woodwork. The government can't have that, so they send in Nick Fury and his Creature Commandos to deal with all this wild stuff. And I have you until I tell you who's writing it. This is where I'm sticking my man Tom King. Because if you're gonna go get weird, go get weird with Tom King. Tom King, and he has the background for military type weird
stabilizing
stuff.
Countries,
and he's going to have the influence and the art of my man Eric Larson is going to be doing art on this book. Again, I love him writing. I love him drawing Hellboy, and I love Eric Larson drawing weird looking creatures. So I really thought of him for this right away. All of my favorite Eric Larson stuff is when he goes into weird universes, draws like all these sorts of creatures and gods and whatnot. And that's the kind of what's the word I'm looking for? That's what I'm looking for this book. There you go. All right, moving on. You haven't even heard one of my biggest names yet. You've probably been wondering, where the hell is Jonathan Hickman? When are we going to bring in Jonathan Hickman? Well, the answer is right now.
I don't know. You kind of had us at Tom King.
One of my favorite runs that Jonathan Hickman did was when he did this I forget if it was the New Avengers or the Irregular. He was doing both at the same time, but it was the whole run with the Illuminati. So my second
New
series.
Avengers had the Illuminati cast, and then Avengers had the rest of like Captain America, Iron Man, the others.
Well, my second book is the Illuminati. This version of the Illuminati is Batman, Bruce Wayne, Tony Stark, Iron Man, Lex Luthor, Robot, and Reed Richards. And they are on this world, all doing their own stuff. Batman and Lex Luthor are rivals. There's this weird relationship with Tony Stark and Lex Luthor that Batman is uncovering. So there's all this internal drama amongst them. Of course, Reed Richards is always off doing cosmic things and whatnot. And Robot is doing his own sort of machinations in the background as well. None of them really have shared interests, but all of them do want the universe to exist. So that is what they end up coming together to face. Now, this particular miniseries is going to lead into the main crossover that I will unveil at the end. But essentially, this is the story of them coming together, which actually ends up happening through the Justice League series when Batman finds out that Tony Stark is working with Lex Luthor. Tony tries to kind of be like, look, Lex Luthor's not all that bad. There's some stuff brewing in the background that we got to prepare for, because even though Lex Luthor is bad, his quest for power has led him to learn about something I'll tell you about later. I'm gonna wait for that because it's a big reveal coming. But something that we'll learn about later is the reason that they come together and form the Illuminati. Because despite the fact they all have their personal interests, some are heroes, some are villains. None of them want the universe to not exist or to be a hellscape and whatnot. So that's what they're going to come together to prevent in the Illuminati book, written by Jonathan Hickman, art by Jason Fabok. Big fan of Jason Fabok's work with Jeff Johns on Justice League, and would love to see him drawing all of these characters.
Question.
Yes.
In keeping with the overarching theme of your comic business, is naughty spelled Naughty?
Yes, it absolutely is now, and yes, absolutely. And there will be many. I'm rebranding this whole company around this idea now, so I will be adjusting as I go. Illuminati. That's beautiful, Jeffrey. You win. I think you win the draft. You win my draft for that. That's good stuff. That's the Illuminati. The Illuminati comes together as they discover Darkseid's discovery of, I'll tell you later. Next book is called Bat Family Values. We're doing more Batman stuff. Why? Because Batman fucking sells. This features the entire Bat family: Batman, Red Hood, Nightwing, Damian Wade, Alfred, Catwoman, the whole crew. And it also is written by...
Did you draft all those characters?
I drafted all those characters. Okay. Yes. Is written by Mark Waid, artist Rags Morales. Again, I like Rags Morales. I'm going to give him some more work. And in this storyline, these are all leading to the final event. But in this storyline, the Bat family begins to suspect that Bruce is involved in something else as they begin to sort of pull on the string, and they uncover the fact that he is working with Lex Luthor. So that's kind of the first stage of it. They figure out he's working with Lex Luthor, and they don't know what's going on. So they think, is Batman corrupt? Is he really a villain? Has he been what we thought the whole time? And as they continue to pull the string, they eventually uncover not just the fact that Batman is hiding this thing from him, the relationship with Lex Luthor. They actually uncover the entire existence of the Illuminati, which ends up being sort of a cliffhanger that goes into the final event that I'll discuss in a minute. We then go into my last miniseries, which you guys are just going to love. It's called Stars and Smash. And it's so much better now that it's so much better now that
Why not Smash and Stars?
It could be, but I just thought Stars and Smash sounded better. This is a team up book with the Incredible Hulk and Stargirl.
Oh, okay.
Hence the Smash. He is the Smash. She is not being smashed by him in this sense, but
there's a corner of the internet for that.
This book is written and drawn by Daniel Warren Johnson. I think he does great with characters, and especially with sort of familiar relationships, father-daughter type stuff, and all that stuff, and is a great artist.
I'm glad we can explore a relationship between a father and a daughter.
We can't, because that's not what either of them are in this book, but they do take on a sort of surrogate relationship. So through their association in the Justice League, Bruce Wayne sort of becomes a mentor. That's all, just a mentor to Stargirl, and
a father figure,
right?
A stepfather figure,
sort of like a stepfather figure, but there's no marriage to anybody.
Bruce Wayne or Bruce Banner?
It's Bruce. Did I say Wayne?
You did.
Bruce Banner. I meant Bruce Banner. Oh yeah, no. Bruce Wayne taking on a girl Robin. Damn it, that would have been a good one too. Actually, shit. I'll be back in an hour. I gotta rework some things. No, Bruce Banner takes a young Stargirl under his wing and develops a surrogate father-daughter relationship with her. Due to this surrogate father-daughter relationship, he begins to suspect that adult Shazam has an inappropriate relationship with Courtney Whitmore, which of course will lead to some fight scenes with Shazam and the Incredible Hulk as well. You see, I had to build up to all this, everybody. I had to bore you for 30 minutes.
You should have had Chris Hansen be the Hulk.
Getting there. I forgot to draft Chris Hansen was the big
down.
All right, I know you guys are buying this. You can't resist. You can't resist a little potential pedophilic drama, right? It's a mixture of shock and awe.
Whoever's selling these books is a total narc. So
it's a mixture of shock and awe.
Avoiding any shop that is selling these books.
All right. Are you ready for my big crossover?
This episode is brought to you by Sound of Freedom, now available for digital download.
Please donate today. All right. The crossover event is the Omega Infinity War, starring Darkseid, Thanos, and fucking everybody. Everybody involved in this whole thing. A supporting cast, everyone. Writer, Jeff Johns. Artist, Jason Fabok. Blueprints and Timelines by Jonathan Hickman. Thank you very much. He's here for a reason. There's going to be a lot of blueprints, a lot of timelines, a lot of things going on. Synopsis of this event. Darkseid, who wants to rule the universe and whatnot, of course, he discovers through the scanning the mind of Reed Richards. He scans the mind after an encounter with Reed Richards. He scans the mind of Reed Richards and then acquires knowledge of the multiverse, which in this universe, only Reed Richards really knows about the multiverse at this point, prior to Darkseid getting the knowledge from him through the Council of Reeds. Through the Council of Reeds and through the knowledge of those other universes, he learns about this guy called Thanos, and he learns about these Infinity Gems, and I know what you're thinking. I'm going to address it. So he says, hey, and he figures out, hey, if I could just combine these Infinity Gems with my Omega shit, my Omega beams or whatever, my Omega, what's it called? My anti-life equation. That's what I was trying to say. It all fucking works. So that's his plan, is to go into this multiverse, is to go into this other reality and acquire the Infinity Gems. So, but instead of trying to get all the gems, he figures, wait a minute. Instead, I'm just going to send my goons to this other universe to help Thanos create the Infinity Gauntlet and get all the gems. And I'm going to show up. And so he partners with Thanos. He sends his goons over. He's like, yo, Thanos, I heard you want these Infinity Gems. I'm going to hook you up. I got some goons here. They're going to help you. So that's one whole storyline of Thanos and Darkseid goons teaming up to gain these Infinity Gems. But first, yeah, blah, blah. Yeah, so basically his plan is to have Thanos create the Infinity Gauntlet and then just get the Infinity Gauntlet from him instead of like having to go through finding all the gems himself, essentially. He's just kind of using Thanos as his bitch here. And he plans to use the Omega Beams and the anti-life equation to reshape all of reality, including the key thing that he learns, and this is a part of what Robot has been secretly working on. All his little missions that he's been working on here have been to figure out this big problem. The big problem is that the Infinity Gems don't work in an alternate reality. They only work in their original universe, as you all know. So that's the problem that Darkseid has been trying to figure out in the background this whole time, and the brightest mind that he has had. So there's a double agent in the Illuminati. Robot is like a triple agent. You know, he's like a regular villain sort of in the background. He's also running Freak Force for his own missions, but we do find out those missions are actually tied in to him actually working with Darkseid. So he's ostensibly on the Illuminati, but he is actually a double agent within the Illuminati working for Darkseid. So eventually, of course, the Justice League, the Illuminati, all the drama with the Illuminati and Batman's involvement, all this stuff comes to the surface, you know, within the drama. So it's half like cosmic battle, but half sort of like political type drama as well. That the kind of you might see in Stormwatch and that sort of thing.
You got a lot of charts.
That stuff. A lot of charts, a lot of graphs, a lot of multiversalness. Ultimately, I am going to spoil the ending. Ultimately, it is Thanos himself, along with the Illuminati, who are able to stop Darkseid finally. But in doing so, they have to make a difficult decision. They have to empower Thanos. They have to empower him they have to basically harness the anti-life equation to empower Thanos to actually be able to use the Infinity Gauntlet against Darkseid, with the promise that Thanos will go use it in the only place it will now work, which is the other universe. So they essentially have to empower Thanos to destroy another universe and rule another universe to save their own. So that's spoiler alert. Since I know you're not going to buy the fucking book, I spoiled the ending for you. So that's how that goes down. So I hope, even though, you know, maybe I was fairly standard for a while, I hope I at least garnered some interest towards the end.
You picked it up in the miniseries for sure.
Yeah, that was my whole plan.
Even though you missed Slade and Wade, a perfect opportunity.
That's my biggest miss for sure. All right. What am I interesting you in any of these things here? And then we'll kind of talk about the draft overall.
Nick Fury and the Creature Commandos. That one sounds fun. I mean, Nick Fury and Young Hellboy. I just finished, the Young Hellboy limited series. I mean, I think you want him to be more than a kid, maybe like a teenager, young adult.
More like teenage Hellboy. Maybe.
Yeah, like that would be funny. I'm down with that. And Freak Force, obviously, like that is probably my favorite of the ones that you put together.
The only book that I can publicly support of yours, Mark, is
two reasons.
Is Nick Fury and the Creature Commandos.
But privately, there might be a few more you want to check out.
Fantastic choice of writer on there, Tom King and Eric Larson. Probably, as you mentioned, he draws great, fantastical creatures. So I think that would be a wonderful book.
You guys were going to tell
premise.
me if in real life, I understand it's more, but in real life, holy shit, they're relaunching Fantastic Four with Jeff Johns. Maybe I'm biased because he's one of my favorite writers and they're my favorite, and that's like my original book. You're telling me you're not checking that book out? You're checking that book out. You're checking.
I said I would get Fantastic Four.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
You sold us on Sue alone.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. Now, all right, how do we wrap this thing up? So eventually, I think I will put this to a vote of some kind of our patrons and let them decide. They can choose their own criteria. My criteria is the best business, but people can vote however they want. If they just like the books they like the most, however people vote, they vote. But I think before we wrap up, maybe we should each go around. And all right, let's try to do this. Why don't we each name our favorite company that we would, if we had to invest money in one of these companies besides our own, you can't choose your own.
Fuck.
Which one would you invest in and why? Do. I'm going to think about it for a second.
I'll go first. I would invest in Jeffries because the idea of generations of heroes eventually colliding towards the end. I think that came out with like the best, character dynamics between how he set everything up and the fact that they're going to be kind of separated over time, but the impact is going to be felt. So I think it's cleaner. I think it's pretty linear. If I can't vote for mine, which is I'm biased, I would rather do mine. It's got to be Jeffries.
I think I would go for Eric. Solidly planned out and so on and so forth.
All right, Eric. What about you?
Tough choice.
Think about the money. Think about the marquee characters, but maybe you can't for legal reasons support it.
We're gonna have to write a public letter after this.
I'm struggling. I'm struggling here, Mark. We've been friends for so long.
It's all right.
But if I'm gonna put my money into a company, it's not gonna be one that's gonna get shut down by the FBI.
FBI? What is the FBI coming after me? There's no inappropriate act in this entire story. I want to be clear.
Legend of Shazam and his legendary tryst with Stargirl. I don't know.
He's a fucking teenager, and she's actually older. She's 17. He's 15.
That's the problem.
Add a wrinkle, and then Matt Murdock has to defend the case. Oh, I don't have him. Damn.
Until he yells Shazam at the wrong time, and then it's a tricky situation.
It's like one moment was legal. Now it's like
I'm changing everything. Garth Ennis is writing that book now, and that's a scene that happens.
You know what?
I need to shuffle some things around.
No, Hulk. It's not what it looks like.
Come on, you don't love the idea of the Hulk getting angry because he thinks that Shazam is banging of Courtney Whitmore? That's a hilarious premise.
That would be fun.
And it gets him so angry that he turns into the Hulk, and then he has Shazam.
And the Freak Force is so offended because they're like, we've done some messed up stuff, but this man must die.
They're like, we have to go on missions for this fucking robot. All right.
I'm gonna have to go with Ramses.
Really? All right.
I thought
the Frostverse.
So I thought his creativity
is coming.
I thought his creativity was very good. I thought all his stories were well planned out. Great job on the creativity part. It's fantastic.
All right, well,
1 point for Deacon Frost.
Looking at these teams, I mean, I will say, if this was a creativity award, I would probably give it to Remzo because he had the least to work with, and he made the most out of the least. But this is not it's not a participation contest. This is about the entire thing. This is about the draft, and I'm going to judge on the draft and the final product. No, I thought you did a really good job, Brent. So I thought, I would legitimately read a good number of these books and pay money for them. but I'm not going to invest in your company. I'm going to invest in Eric's company if I have to. Couple reasons. I mean, you got some of the big, again, as I told you, I'm in this for the business. So you got a couple of the big names. You got my Spider-Man, you got my Weapon X, you got Spawn, and I can't resist. You got Neil Gaiman on Preacher with Bill Sienkiewicz. I mean, I got to be involved in that. And I need Jim. There's no age where I'm not going to need Jim Lee drawing Psylocke and Jean Grey and Wonder Woman. You kidding me? I'm in, and I see a lot we can market here, but not to put aside fucking Darth Vader involved in all this shit is just huge, and that's a visual I haven't been able to get out of my mind. Darth Vader chilling with Galactus. I love all that shit. He's probably got his own fucking thing. I legitimately want to see some of these books get made. I know they legally can't even happen. But Deacon Frost. For a second, I thought Deacon Frost is public domain. Not yet. Someday when they stop publishing Deacon Frost books.
Is
50 years after they published the last Deacon Frost book. Who is?
Yeah. Eric's all new, all different freaking Dost.
Is Chris Hansen public domain, or do I have to draft him? Because I realize he's actually the most important part.
Yeah, he's having a lot of tax issues right now, so he might be able to just be like, take my likeness for free.
That's right.
All right,
just
friends.
give me some royalties. You know what is funny though? We made a big deal about the public domain rule during the draft.
And no one used it.
And nobody used any
I forgot to mention Young Frankenstein is on Creature Commandos. There you go.
Oh, there we go.
Like Mel Gibson's character?
That one. Not Mel Gibson. You mean Mel Brooks?
Mel Brooks. Yeah, Mel Brooks.
Not Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson's Young Frankenstein is another book. It's my 13th book. But I didn't have Mel Gibson on my draft list. So
freedom.
That'll be next year. Well, when I'm in Sound of Freedom 2, the rescue of Courtney Whitmore, we'll see how that goes. Gentlemen, this has been fun. This is by far the nerdiest amount of time I've spent doing the nerdiest thing I could ever think to do. And thank God I'm already married, and because this would definitely be the end otherwise, I'd say, of my career with women. So that's all I got to say about that. The rest of the final thoughts, I think we're going to have to leave to the fans, to the patrons. We're going to put this puppy to a vote. We're going to see what the public thinks, and we're going to see if we can get one of these puppies off the ground. There's going to be some legal issues, some actual copyrights to work our way through, and maybe some Chris Hansen related stuff, but we'll get there. Until then, my friends, until next time, as always, Remzo, take us home.
It's short and sweet. You speak it every time you go ahead and listen to the show. It's simple. It's read comics and change the world. Good night, America.
Adios.